No more.
Yeah, we like to have a little bit of banter, not too much, just the appropriate amount.
The right
While
amount of banter.
I mean, I'm not sure
exactly,
what the appropriate amount is, but
usually it's enough for me to say something kind of foolish, and then Cleo to kind of insult me, and then we just kind of roll in from there. We've set the tone.
Perfect.
yeah, I mean, like you do sort of like if you'd stop doing foolish things at the beginning of a stream, Joe, I probably would insult you less.
Well, 90% of the time, it's something like, okay, I've done everything except I left my coffee like in an inaccessible part of the room, and now I need to
Or
climb
I
across the
didn't change
camera.
my stream title.
Or I didn't change my stream title.
Oh, hey Cam, I've put links in to the mod Discord for our guest speaker. So could you, like I say guest speaker, guest crafter. So
Woo.
if you pepper them in throughout the stream, that'd be grand.
And
Thank you, honey.
I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna pin a link to information about our guest. I'm gonna give the whole welcome spiel shortly. I like to give everybody a few minutes to wander in, since the alerts take a second.
Sure thing.
Don't panic. Don't panic. It's fine.
Oh,
But
Cleo,
they can see you,
Cleo,
so
I'm not gonna
if you
panic.
if you want to just like
Sounds good.
stare at my chat, that's fine.
Cleo, I actually found out a new technique for dealing with, like, if I start to actually have a panic attack on stream. I just switch over to doing a impression of Empire's SMP Let's Player Ollie Orion sound and make it look like I'm doing a bit, and it has been one of the most popular things I've done on stream lately, and so I'm feeling really good about channeling my mental health problems into my art. That's been really, really rewarding.
Oh God, Joe, if you're having a panic attack on stream and you've now told everybody that you do an impression of Ollie every time you're feeling that way, they're now not. You should not have. They're now going to be concerned.
They're not listening. They're not listening. Also, the thing is, though, I do the bit when I'm not having panic attacks, which is why I was able to slip into it when I was. So it's not like 100% of the time thing.
But, right.
So
alert sounds. Oh God, I'm having audio issues. Let's put it like that, guys.
Well, Cleo, I like to see them as audio opportunities.
You would.
While you resolve that, do you mind if I welcome our guest, taking advantage of this opportunity while you press a bunch of buttons in OBS?
Go on, go.
I'm going to go on, as they say in the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland, and I am going to welcome former NASA science communicator Erin Winick to the stream. Welcome, Erin.
Hello.
Erin is joining us via Discord call from you're down in Houston, right? Where you
got it, Houston, Texas.
You were working. I think they call it Space City, USA, right?
Yeah, we're Space City down here for sure.
I'm really excited. Tennessee has a little bit of a connection to Houston in that our football team, the Tennessee Titans, actually used to be the Houston Oilers, and I'm sure that with our ambitions to get a Major League Baseball stadium, we'll soon be welcoming the Houston Astros as something like, I don't know, the Tennessee Parthenons or something.
Yeah, there you go. Got to change the name appropriately.
Yeah, it's got to be Greek, because obviously we're famous for our Greek restaurants here.
Of course.
So, welcome, Erin. For those of y'all who don't know what a science communicator does, Erin, would you mind sharing a little bit about your role, kind of bridging the gap between the science experiments that are sent up into space and the astronauts who are actually working on them and executing those experiments?
Yeah, absolutely. So for about 4 years, I just left as of a couple weeks ago, going out on my own as a science communicator. But basically got to be the storyteller, helping share all of the science that's conducted in orbit with everyone back here on Earth. And up on the space station, there's been more than 3,000 experiments that have been conducted in microgravity. So I get to learn about everything from stem cell research and biology to robotics, and then try to understand it so that I can explain it to everyone, and even help the astronauts understand it too, because they're working on hundreds of things during their time up there and can't have time to focus on it all. So helping lots of different audiences understand it has been a super fun way to jump between a lot of topics, learn about them, and then be able to tell you all the cool things.
And when you talk about like working with the astronauts to make sure they understand them,
Yeah.
could you give people a sense of like how many experiments an astronaut might be expected to run while they're on the space station? Like just broad,
Yeah. Yeah,
broadly speaking.
hundreds. Usually it's like 2 to 300 experiments during their 6 months up there. Some of them they might spend 10 minutes on when they have to move a box around. Other times they might spend many, many hours when they have to be working in a, like they call them glove boxes. So that, imagine if you're working with fluids in space, the fluids would just float away. So
Hmm.
work on them in boxes for hours at a time to be able to do whatever study it is. So yeah, can't imagine trying to be an expert on all hundreds of these complex scientific studies.
And so in a lot of cases, astronauts are often scientists in addition to
Mm-hmm.
like some of them are pilots, some of them are scientists, they might have doctorates,
Yeah,
but they don't necessarily have doctorates in all of the things that they're running the experiments on, right?
exactly. Yeah, and some of them, many of them have PhDs, and they might be a PhD in physics, but that doesn't mean they're an expert in biology. And so, a lot of times, though, they're very interested in learning. So, be able to help provide them that information at whatever level they're interested in. And they all love plants. So, always trying
Hmm.
to help them better understand the plant studies too, because everyone loves gardening in space.
Well, and I'm sure that their favorites are the ones that they get to eat at the end. I know there's not a lot
Yes.
of those, but
There are some though. Yeah, they've made some space salads up there. They've eaten some radishes, some chili peppers, which were spicier in space than on Earth. So,
ooh.
the important findings that we're
Ah,
figuring out.
that's the important part of the
Yeah.
spicy chili peppers.
Yes. Which did surprise them. There's some funny pictures of them like, whoa, their face is like, oh my gosh, this is not what I was expecting for the people that aren't, spicy food people.
Yeah. And
Mm-mm.
so Erin, how long did you work as a space communicator for NASA in that role?
So just under 4 years. I was at MIT for 2 years before that, and then NASA for four.
Outstanding. And I understand that you got an award that has physically been up to space and back for your
I
work at NASA called a Silver Snoopy.
I have. I brought props. So,
Cool.
yeah. So
I did
Silver
mention that
Snoopy
props were good.
Silver Snoopies are given out and have been given out for many, many years for people that are helping with the success of the spaceflight mission in a particular way. And I worked on doing a lot of new social media stuff and creating a whole project called the Benefits for Humanity Project and sharing all the ways what we do up there helps us back here on Earth. And for that, I got a Silver Snoopy. So this flew up to the International Space Station out of the SpaceX Dragon capsule. I believe it was SpaceX Commercial Resupply Mission 23. Stayed docked up there for about a month, orbiting the Earth, and then came back. And the art is actually, Snoopy in a little spacesuit, and it was drawn by Charles Schulz, who, made the Peanuts. He had a relationship with NASA back in the day and created a lot of actual art that he made. And so this is his design. And I get my own. It's tiny, but that's because it flew up into space, so they can't send a huge, massive pins up there for these awards. But that was one of the highlights for me for sure.
Oh, that's so cool.
That is really awesome. I
And it
appreciate it. I'm sorry I will not able to respond. I am having severe technical difficulties.
No, we're
So
keeping it going while you're
yeah, yeah,
working
yeah,
through it.
Cleo,
All
Cleo.
good.
that's fine. I mean, I've just decided just no sounds for everybody apart from the Discord call, and that's fine because obviously something is going wrong with my audio. So I've had to turn it over. So it's fine. I'm just going to get involved in the conversation now because it's fine. Let's go.
Okay, and
So Silver Snoopy. So sorry, I missed how you got that.
Yeah. So, well, first of all, you get nominated for it
Mm-hmm.
by the astronaut office. So, because of work that I was doing with astronauts and for people that they were aware of this that I was working on, you get
Mm-hmm.
nominated for it. And so the large thing was this huge Benefits for Humanity project that I worked on. So it was a book and like digital campaign of sharing all the ways these experiments are helping us back here on Earth, which
Mm-hmm.
is because people often want to know, like, we're doing this all up there. How does that
Yeah.
help us back here? So it was trying to share those examples and helping extend the space station because it has to get
Oh,
renewed
cool.
every certain amount of time. And currently now it's renewed through 2030. But all of the international partners that collaborate on it all have to agree to that renewal. So the book has even been translated into Japanese, which was super cool to be able to be used over there.
just out of curiosity, which edition did you work on? Because when I'm googling this, I'm seeing there's a 2022 edition. Was that the one?
That's that's me, yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and
Cool.
post a link to that in my chat if anybody
Go for it.
wants to go to the
Yeah.
nasa.gov website
If you want,
you can find
if you want the short link, it's nasa.gov/station benefits. Because there's some other videos and podcasts and things like that that are associated with it, aside from the PDF too.
Joe, feel free to put that in my chat as well, because we know how you enjoy posting chat.
Yeah,
links in
my
chat.
favorite thing to post in Cleo's chat is my tipping link, and she
Yeah.
finds that, she thinks that's just one of the funniest things. It's the second funniest though, after people actually sending me the money.
Yeah.
Oh, it looks like Cam already got
people
it.
sending you the money, Joe. You make that sound like I'm awful. It's just you've never put it in my link before. But anyway, yeah, feel free. Oh, Cam.
Do you want me to post your link? Where's
No, it's okay.
Cam, post Cleo's tipping link in her chat so I can copy and paste it over to mine, please.
No, it's fine. It's fine.
I'm sorry, that's rude. Cleo, could you please ask Cam to do that? I shouldn't be asking Cam. I don't. Yeah, Cam does not work for me. Cleo has chosen not to ask Cam this. Okay.
Yeah, you probably shouldn't actually, thinking about it. But
let me make sure that the link he gave is real.
I'm just gonna
right.
go. Let's get started. I see you open the bag.
Oh,
You're
I did, yes.
doing the orchid Lego set that I really, really want.
I am. I got this for.
So good.
I think it was for Christmas, and it's been sitting in my closet. And Joe had said, "Hey, if you have any like cool Lego sets or whatever that've been sitting there that you haven't done for a while, now's the perfect time." And I was like, "How did you read my mind? That is exactly what I should be doing." So
I mean, it is. Like there is like it's perfect. It's perfect for this stream where you just sit and craft and talk.
Yes.
So.
Exactly. So super excited for it. There's these famous little frogs that are on the center of the flower. So I think that's probably going to be like the last step. So we'll see if I get there, but very excited for the frogs.
Yeah, I'm really excited that you're joining us. I know everybody. This has been a little bit more structured than usual. Largely because we were killing time while Cleo fixed her audio.
Exactly.
Which is still not. I would like to point out. It's like I'm gonna have to deal with that whole thing. But they can hear you, which is the most important thing.
Yeah.
My stream alerts and tip stuff is not going off though, chat. I'm very sorry.
Yeah.
Oh, speaking of that, thank you to Bon for the Cleo biddies, Paleo for the biddies, Push for the cow biddies, and Fessler has resubscribed for 25 months. It's good to see you, Fessler. It's been quite a while. But yeah, so I'm done with my bit now. Like we said, it front loads sometimes.
Yeah.
Totally.
Oh, I'm honestly, Lego set was a bad idea because I'm very interested in the Lego set and I keep on looking over to my monitor.
I know you're like, what's happening?
It's just like, oh, I want to see it. I want to see it.
But one day, Cleo, you'll have your own
plastic. So I'll try to keep that away from the mic.
Well, so I was gonna say, Cam, now you know what to get Cleo for Christmas. This specific Lego set.
I mean, honestly, if I haven't bought it for myself, like in the next couple of months, because my birthday's soon, is all I'm saying.
Oh,
there you
go. See, wow.
Like, I don't expect people to buy me presents, because I tend to buy things for myself. So,
It's gonna make many stream appearances then. This Lego set. It sounds
I mean,
like.
it's not. Unfortunately, my bullet journal takes like most of my time because it just takes a while to get through.
Sure.
But
you know what you should do is you should pick a month that's your like bullet journal by month, and just say like, okay, for example, since we have somebody from space here or from NASA here, I'm just for July, which is the celebration of the moon landing. I'm just going to get a ton of space stickers, and instead of doing illustrations, that's a sticker-only month. I'm going to have an extra month to focus on other crafts once a year or something.
Cool.
Well, like speaking of, I did have a space month at one point, which I didn't actually write a huge amount in because I think things were going on at that point. But I have had a space month before. So,
what did you put in your space month one?
Yeah. I mean, like, honestly, like the things I put in my bullet journal are things like must do things with the hermits and Joe and stuff like that.
Yeah, the hermits and Joe.
I mean, Joe, you don't count.
There was a
Because I
thing.
said so.
There was a thing on Tumblr where somebody apparently thought that I was like some sort of in-joke that other hermits mentioned offhand in their videos, but they didn't realize I was an actual person who made videos.
What?
How?
How
Because
does that work?
well, because they mostly watched hermits who like don't record at times that I'm online.
Oh.
And so they would be like, "Oh, there's that thing that Joe Hill's built, blah blah blah," and then move on. But like, they're like, I've been watching so and so, and so, I've been watching like these 3 or 4 particular hermits for like 5 years, and I've never actually seen Joe Hill's in any of their videos. Like,
They thought you were fictional.
yeah, they thought I was just like a background gag, like or something.
Myth, the legend, Joe.
Yeah. The rest of Tumblr eviscerated them. That's the best. That was the best part, though.
Good.
I mean, honestly, it's Tumblr, so you know. Did they think the sexy man thing was just you?
Well, that was the thing, is they hadn't heard about that, and so.
Okay.
Well, actually, Erin might not have heard about this. I won a YouTube sexy man poll.
Incredible.
Yeah.
Which is about how cryptid you are.
Yeah.
Which probably like. It's not typical sexy man. I don't want you to get the wrong idea about Joe or Tumblr. So yeah, Joe Hill's, the name lends itself to being made up.
Well,
I mean,
I did have a lot of people ask, I do still have people ask me like, oh wait, that's not a pen name or whatever. That's not like a nom de plume.
Joe actually has a real name.
No, I have a real name.
Line.
Yep. Well, and that's the thing too.
Weird.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
Oh, it's funny because I don't know. Sorry, we have like a really cool guest, but like I also have like stories about being famous. But like,
oh, please go for it. I'm here to listen too. So
I have no stories about being
okay,
famous.
so
Just
Cleo,
this is just Joe.
I went to the library yesterday because I had this idea for a joke.
Oh no.
And I was like, oh my gosh, this is the best joke ever. But it's like, it's a joke that's an allusion to a very famous writing. And I'm like, there's no way no one's ever made this joke before. So let me Google it. Let me check search.twitter.com before I go on Twitter and somebody's like, dude, that was like, in this famous comedian's act like 10 years ago. What the heck,
Right.
So I go, and it turns out that it's not a joke someone has made before, but it is a very serious argument in a 300-page book, like academic text. It has a whole chapter about it. And I'm like, okay, well, I'm not sure if this is exactly my joke or not, so now I need to get this academic text. I'll just get the ebook real quick, right? It was going to be $135. And I'm like, I can't spend $135 on vetting if a joke is original. And so I went to the Divinity Library at my university, like that I graduated from like 2008. And I've got my alumni ID from like 2012. And I'm just like, okay, so I found the book. I want to check it out. And I go to the circulation desk. I'm not in the system anymore. Because apparently...
I mean, no, you graduated many moons ago.
No, but
Joe.
like technically as an alumni, I still have library privileges.
Okay.
And I have my alumni ID, although it's a Magstripe card, and they haven't had Magstripe readers for like 5 years now. It's all RFID tap cards. So I had to go get a new card later on that day. But anyway, but the librarian recognized me from Twitter, and I was allowed to take the book home anyway.
That's pretty telling, Joe.
Yeah.
Who needs a library card when you're famous on Twitter?
I know.
No.
Well, and then the funny thing is, she posted a tweet about me coming into the library to write a joke. And it got like something like 18,000 views, and it's outperforming most of her I met Joe Hills today tweet is doing better than most of the stuff I write.
Oh no.
I met Joe Hills being archetypally Joe Hills.
Yeah. Delg says, oh, Mr. Big Shot with a college degree. Don't worry, it's a degree in history. It's not getting me very far. But yeah.
Oh dear. Anyway, so Joe has I'm ostensibly famous stories. Do you have any funny space stories or NASA stories that you're allowed to tell us? Because
Oh, let's talk about the difference between what you're allowed to tell us today versus like when you were still working at NASA like 3 weeks ago. Like,
Sure.
where's the boundaries?
Well, I'll start out with the boring answer, which is it takes a million layers of approval to get approval to do anything like this. So I would have had to be like to my supervisor, hey, can I go on this stream with Joe Hills and ZombieCleo to talk about, random stuff? And then I would have probably had all of my coworkers like tuning in. But it would take like two
you mean
months
they're
to get
not
approved.
tuning in? Dang.
I mean, to be fair, I could be wrong, and they're all here. So say hello in the chat, everyone. But
Hi.
but more than anything, it's one of those. They're like, if I'm here representing like what NASA is, it's like a lot more like formal and a lot more like, okay, here's like the talking points and things like that versus just I'm free to talk about my experience and things like that now. So it's kind of one of those where you just feel a lot more cautious when you're doing stuff like this when you're there and you have like you have to read through the interview prep documents and things like that. So that's like the not as fun answer, but the more fun answer is probably that I can just kind of tell all of my stories now and now be like not have to worry about being like, oh, I don't know exactly like where this
I'm gonna
falls
get
on
fired
the
in the morning.
yeah, exactly. But
Yeah. Do I have to get debriefed after this? Is
yes,
always.
exactly.
It's like
So
because yeah, I was gonna say it seems like part of your job as a science communicator dealing with these experiments is you're reviewing the experiments before the astronauts review them. So if they have any questions when they review them, they can bring them to you, right?
yes, that and like lots of other people too. So there's other, NASA representatives that go out and talk, and it goes from I've written things all the way up to the NASA administrator before, who's talking to like legislator and things like that too.
Well,
Yeah,
I guess what I want to know is like, what are the most like bonkers questions that you've got where you're like you're like you do your prep and your review and you're like, okay, I'm ready for whatever questions they throw at me, and then they throw something at you and you're just like, oh, like,
oh my
did
gosh.
that ever happen?
My gosh, yeah. I'm trying to think like what is the craziest. I mean,
Or
social media is insane, and I helped run social media accounts for NASA at some point too.
Oh
So
gosh.
I mean, obviously dealing with a lot of conspiracy theory related. I didn't know that people didn't realize that there's people who believe the space station isn't real, and I didn't know that until I started working at
Oh,
NASA. Or don't believe that we still aren't going to space, and that was something I like fully. I knew conspiracy theories were a thing, but did not realize that it went that far.
yeah.
So that's like the one of, and then people often always I will like start out like, do you know what the space station is? And people will say like, oh yeah, that's the one in Florida, right? And I'm like, no, the one like up in space. So trying to explain like our goals as communication are first to explain the space station exists. Second, that it's a place that we do science. So like it's always kind of just start high level and then we'll work from there and take any questions as they come.
The first thing you have to answer is space real?
Yes, it is. We'll start there. Yes, space is real. We go there, and it's super cool. So,
But what's it made out of?
oh, space stuff, right?
Yeah.
It's
Seems like if it's real, it should be made out of something.
oh my gosh, yeah, and I think some of the things too are just explaining like all of these crazy experiments that we do up there because they're ranging from we have like cube shaped robots that are learning to try to like operate and run a space station autonomously to like exposing things to space and seeing how they degrade over time. We're sequencing DNA in space, so it's like we've gotten questions about all of these different studies, and kind of just being prepared to talk about any of them is always the fun thing for me, because I get to. It sounds like you're big into researching and learning about stuff too, Joe. So go to the library and read a book about this random topic that you've never heard of before until today, and then be able to explain it.
And I will say that was one of the things I liked most about I worked at one of my jobs, I had some graphic design responsibilities, and we would have outside speakers come in, and I would have to design posters for their talk, and that usually meant I had an excuse to read their book and maybe one or two other books in their field, like
Sure.
on company time. And it's like
Yes.
people are like, "What are you doing?" My design research. Well,
Uh-huh.
it's like it looks like you're sitting around reading. Well, it looks like you don't want a good poster. I don't know. Like so that's a lot of fun. So I guess you kind of talked though about like the questions you got from people who were uninformed. I guess what I'm curious
Sure.
about is
What's the
In-
weirdest question you got asked?
what's the weirdest question an
Oh.
astronaut asked you with like when you're looking at the
Hmm.
research, or like one of the, you know, not necessarily the weirdest, but one that you found like, oh boy, I wasn't ready for that, or
Oh my gosh. The one that's the hardest to explain is we always get questions about the cold atom lab.
Mhm.
And understand that they've been asked about how this is going to help with quantum research and talk about the hardest one to answer. This device is basically creating another state of matter called the Bose-Einstein condensate,
Mhm.
which is, yes, a mouthful, and creating it in space and trying to explain how this thing benefits like atomic clocks and speeds of like quantum stuff is always like the hardest thing. So that's probably the one that's been most difficult to answer. Um, but I think the ones that are from the astronauts that are always most interesting are like when they do a thing and they're like, how did this actually help with the study? Like, I had to move this box from here to here. What was I doing today? And why was this helping science?
Please tell me that what I do matters.
Yes, basically. I mean, because they often don't get information about, these studies. They're on such a tight schedule that like informing them isn't necessarily the top priority always. So they'll be like, why were the things that I'm doing like mattering to this study and what is inside of this silver box? Because a lot of them are very sealed off if they don't have a lot of astronaut interaction. And
What's inside of the sealed box?
exactly.
Well,
And
because
we'll be
I
like, oh,
understand you don't necessarily want to have like contamination,
yes.
but yeah, you can't necessarily tell what's inside the sealed box. That makes sense.
And they all look very similar because they're often very like, they try to
Don't
make them
tell
the
me what's
same.
inside the sealed box. I'm gonna open the sealed box.
Yes. Yeah. And sometimes it'll be like, it'll be a student study that has a ton of like 10 different capsules of seeds that are being exposed to, the radiation space environment. And other times it'll be something that's trying to help with artificial retina research in space and that could help with, healing people who are having, vision issues and things like that. So
Hmm.
I understand why they ask. They want to know. It could be such a huge range of studies and it's not as meaningful when you're just like, okay, what do I do with this? Move from here to here and like activate and flip a switch or whatever.
This is what I trained my entire life for. I
Yeah.
moved a box and flipped a switch.
Hey, honestly,
get it,
moving
I
stuff
get it.
around and finding things in storage takes so much time up there. Because imagine if like you were living in a place that's that the space station for 22 years and it's not easy to bring stuff back down. They have a lot of buildup of stuff.
Yeah, I had heard that there was a big difference. Like it's easier to bring things up than to bring things down because of something about the way that they return to Earth. And so a
Yeah,
lot of
it's
experiments they have
exactly.
to gather all the data in space. They can't necessarily bring the things back to then measure, right?
Yeah, it's because we actually only have one vehicle right now that really brings back science, and that's the SpaceX Dragons. But we launch research on many more vehicles.
Mm-hmm.
So, if you want to get samples back, that's prime territory, especially in there's cold storage.
Mm-hmm.
So then there's
Oh, crikey.
limited room in the freezers basically. To be able to bring back all the samples and the important stuff. But I will say, one of my colleagues' husbands worked for the cold stove team, and they called themselves the ice cream men of the space station
Uh-huh.
because they do get to send up ice cream to the astronauts. So and that's one thing people often don't know is they get real ice cream up there. They don't have to eat that gift shop stuff that you see at museums.
The
Uh-huh.
gift shop stuff is great. It's just
Yeah,
so weird.
yeah, but they
I
can request
appreciate
real
that.
popsicles and things like that.
Nice.
That feels illegal to know. I don't know why, it just does.
All the museums trying to rip you off, selling you that fake ice cream there. So
We want real ice cream, dang it.
yes.
Yeah, I noticed there was a certain point where a lot of NASA places also started carrying Dippin' Dots, which are I think, a great improvement.
Yeah.
I can't have
I don't know if they can
milk-based
get
ice
that.
cream, but the Dippin' Dots sherbet is like one of my favorites.
So good. Yeah, I don't know if they can request that one because I feel like that has to be
I don't know
kept
what a
extra
Dippin' Dot
cold.
is.
Oh, yeah, no, it's got
Oh,
to be cooled with like liquid nitrogen or something.
it's these little tiny like spheres of ice cream that you like spoon in, and it's like super duper cold and often kind of has steam coming off of it when you eat it.
Yeah, they actually
Oh,
you don't see
jeez.
them around as much because they repurposed a bunch of the Dippin' Dots coolers for vaccine transport during the pandemic. Cuz
I did not
I'm
know
okay
that.
with this.
yeah, they were well, or at least I saw that they were I read about this when they were starting. Like I don't know if they actually succeeded, but like they basically were like we're recalling a bunch of our coolers to retask them. And I don't know if they ever got used or if that was just something that like seemed like a good plan at the time and then they got halfway through it. I should probably look into that follow up. But
Yeah, we need the Dippin' Dots controversy solved.
but like yeah, because the thing is that their coolers are rated higher than like a lemonade cooler or something like that.
Oh, that makes sense.
And they had a bunch of them sitting around at theme parks that nobody was going to because of the pandemic. So
Huh. A good use of repurposing there.
yeah, it's a good mobilization story. The thing is, if they actually did pull it off, that's the sort of thing. You could have a feel good pandemic movie. In 10 years
Yeah.
about that. We're saving lives.
There
I
you
don't
go.
think we're going to have a feel-good pandemic movie for at least 20 years.
Okay, well,
Gotta give it some time.
I like honestly with like people are still not over it.
yeah,
So,
yeah. No,
yeah.
you're right. You're right. When did the feel good World War II movies really start? Like not for a while.
Like those started during World War II, surely.
I guess yeah. But like I feel like there's a difference between the nostalgia
whole
World
point of
War II
propaganda.
movies. Yeah, no, but there's a difference between active military propaganda during World War II and like the post-war like nostalgia is what I'm saying.
Sure.
Like
He
when
says, I wonder in that 20 years from now, a feel-good movie, what current detail will they get really, really wrong? I'm guessing it's going to be phones, because it always is.
You think?
When did phones become like not a brick or not attached to a wall? Because I've always seen that. Always.
I'm pretty sure probably what they'll end up getting wrong would probably be something about cars, because I really think that if we do have this big EV switchover, it's going to be harder to get old cars for the backgrounds of your films. Although I guess you could just CGI it all in at a certain point.
Yeah, they were actually just filming a video at the Vehicle Assembly Building at Kennedy Space Center, which is this like super tall building that rockets are assembled in.
Mhm.
And it's funny because when they film these like old Apollo era movies, they bring in all of the old cars and park them in all the parking lots out there. So it's funny because NASA suddenly gets like transported back for a couple weeks to like the wherever this movie set feeling was, and people just look out their office window and it looks like it's the 1960s again. So super excited to see whatever that movie was. They're always very secretive about it, so I don't know what it was, but something was filmed at the Vehicle Assembly Building for a couple weeks out there recently.
Are there a lot of films done like at NASA and like on location kind of thing?
Not a ton, but I think there's always a lot of documentary crews, no surprise, that are coming out there, but like ones that are like, actual scripted and stuff.
Mhm.
On occasion, if you've ever seen The Martian, though, a lot of them will film at like fake NASA locations and make them look cooler than they actually do. Because like they made Johnson Space Center and The Martian look like some futuristic thing, and all of the buildings are like just cubes and look like they're from the 1960s in reality, so they had to make it look better. So a lot of them choose not to do it on site to make NASA look even better than it does.
Just out of curiosity, so since you live in Houston for your or you moved there for your NASA work, have you seen the first season of Apple TV's For All Mankind? Because a lot of that takes place in Houston.
I have not. I have had it recommended to me a million times, and I need to go check it out. But I'll have to go compare and see what it looks like now.
Yeah, I was very skeptical. I get skeptical about any sort of fictionalized space stuff. I'm like usually just
Sure.
like give me the real world stuff. I don't want, this fictionalized version.
Yeah.
But the thing the show what I didn't understand was that the premise of the show is what if the Soviet Union trolled the United States into spending all the money we spent on nukes on the space program instead.
Hmm.
And it's
Okay.
actually a much funnier and more interesting show than I was expecting it to be. So yeah,
Cool.
I would strongly recommend it. I came in skeptical, but they sold me. But yeah,
Okay.
a lot of it takes place in and around Houston, and so I was just kind of curious. But yeah, no worries.
My
Yeah, I'll
question
have
is,
to do some research.
how many of your like friends recommend stuff just because, hey, you like space stuff?
A decent amount, sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
But to be fair, I like it, so I don't hate the recommendations. I do fit a lot of the stereotypes and watch a lot of sci-fi and stuff. The Expanse is one of my
Mhm.
favorite TV shows.
Mhm.
So, but
Yeah.
yeah, I definitely get a lot of recommendations.
Oh yeah, no, I was just thinking, is it comparable to the amount of like, hey, you like video games that we
Sure.
get?
Yeah, you're
It's
like, oh, I've heard
probably
about this video game. Have you? And you're like, yes, 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 I
yes.
have. I play Minecraft 90% of the time though, so yeah.
This is my life.
Yeah.
I get those. Yeah, no, I just wondered because it's one of those things. It's just sort of like everybody assumes that you like I was a geologist when I finished school, and the amount of people were just like, so you like rocks, yeah? Name every rock. And it's like,
All right, well here, I'll do that to you then. So you like rocks. Are you super pumped to see new moon rocks come back from the Artemis missions that are going to go up there, because they're going to go to the South Pole for the first time on the moon? If they're doing that, what would you want to do with those rocks that you got back
what would
from the
I
moon?
want to do with those? I like have them. They're worth a fortune, right?
Fair enough. That too. Your
Um,
geologist brain, what would you want to look at in those rocks?
geology brain. I would want to see if the chemical composition was any different.
Are you gonna lick it?
That's only
Geologists
for
love
Haylight,
looking rocks,
darling.
I've heard, so.
I mean, I've heard from Cave Johnson that that's bad news.
Don't lick the
so
moon rocks. Got it. Okay.
Don't lick the moon rocks. Pure poison, apparently.
Ah,
Oh
okay.
no.
Although the desire as a geologist to lick the moon rocks is very high, which is why geologists should never be put in charge of moon rocks. Do I have a favorite rock? Well, now it's moon rocks because I haven't got an opportunity to lick them yet. I don't. Didn't we get the
Incredible.
oldest Earth rocks from the moon?
What?
That
I don't
wasn't
know.
part of
I
my
don't.
degree.
I don't think that would make sense, because wouldn't
No.
technically the oldest moon rocks be from the Earth? Well, I guess
I mean-
ostensibly if an asteroid hit the moon and then settled
Sure.
there, that was older than the Earth. But
Right.
yeah.
I mean, the moon is like, from what I understand, and honestly, geology doesn't really go back this far. Like, wasn't the moon like part of the Earth, technically speaking?
One of the theories, yeah, it hasn't been like. There's honestly a surprising amount that we still don't know about the moon, with it being so close to us. But that's part of why, with going back, they're like really interested to take samples from these other parts of the moon, because we have a decent amount of moon rocks, but they're all from the same areas from the same period of time. So,
Are they going to be doing like, aside from sampling this one area that they got, are they going to do like are they going to do like probes from different areas and like get rocks that way, or is it going to be like just those two areas?
So right now Artemis 3 which is the first one that'll put boots on the moon again, since the
Yay.
Apollo era. Woohoo! It will be the South Pole, and that will be their focus area, and they're focusing on
Okay.
it because of the water concentration there, and so they're really interested to see what resources we might be able to get from the moon itself.
Nice.
After that, I'm not positive. I think, because this is kind of the priority for these, I think if it goes well, great, and the target is that we can have a permanent base at the moon going forward, so it's not like Apollo where we just kind of stop going. And so yeah, there would be more opportunities later on to go down and up
Yeah.
to the moon.
Apollo was
fingers
very
crossed.
much like, just like, we made it.
Yeah.
Bye. And then never
They
again.
took a ton of rocks with them, so
That's
there is
fair.
there is a
That's fair.
Moonrock vault at Johnson Space Center, and so it is like a legitimate vault, and you have to wear like a bunny suit, like those white suits that you go in and like
That's
make sure
pretty
stuff
cool.
doesn't get contaminated. Sadly, I never got to do this because it is kind of like you only go if you have to. Like a long time
You're a
ago, they had issues with
specialist.
some of them even being stolen, so they've been much
Like,
more protective
how
of
do you
them.
fence a moon rock is the question.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So here's the thing. What you do is you call up a Supreme Court justice and you say, "Hey, who's a really good pal of yours?" Because chances are they're a billionaire. Then you call up that guy and you're like, "Hey, I heard you have a bunch of weird World War II memorabilia and other stuff that you like to buy. How would you like to buy something a little bit more modern, but also in some ways a little bit older? A piece of the moon, right?" And I mean, if anybody who has a few $100 million to spend on World War II stuff and Supreme Court justice property could probably buy your moon rock. Like, that's your person.
Yeah. That you gotta find that right
Wow,
market for moon
Joe.
rocks.
I'm just saying, Cleo, like, I bet you that at least one of these people who's been paying off Supreme Court justices has an illegal moon rock.
All right.
I
Now
like that
time to
there are
prove
now
it.
illegal moon rocks. I mean,
Well,
I
no,
suppose
because
they
it is
are.
illegal. It is illegal to own a moon rock as a private citizen in the United States, isn't it?
I don't know. I sounds like that's
Oh,
correct, but I don't
No, because
know.
there was a whole thing I thought where some of the astronauts had like brought
that's a
some
real
home for
shame.
their families or whatever, and then the government
Right.
reclaimed them and was like,
Just went, sorry, guys. Nuh-uh.
no,
It's not happening.
yeah,
It's
like,
time to recruit a space law expert here.
Are there space law experts?
Yeah, there are.
Oh my god.
I mean, there's maritime law experts.
Yeah, but that's on Earth, Joe.
Yes, unlike space, which is famously not on Earth. I understand that, Cleo, but like,
I think you're being a little bit too glib there, but sure.
that's part of the fun. If I'm not a bit too glib, who will be?
But yeah, there's totally space lawyers, people that are experts on that, especially because it's such an evolving area that people I think
Yeah.
don't fully know. But like people can, I can't remember.
Is it like who owns the moon kind of territory, or is that just like no one?
Okay, you know
it's
what?
more. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, Cam is reporting that it's illegal to own any Apollo samples. If somebody independently got moon rocks from, you know,
Because
a
no
commercial
one owns the moon, right?
Yeah, yeah. If I financed a commercial flight to bring some rocks back, it would not be illegal for me to have them. But anything that was collected as part of the Apollo program is property of the U.S. government, and it would be illegal to have back.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah. I mean, you're allowed to say this stuff's mine, yo.
Yeah.
As in, like the United States government, I guess.
No, you're like, I went and got this. It's mine now. So
I actually own this. I'm sorry. I am a quadrillionaire, and therefore I own whatever the light touches. That's how millionaires work, isn't it?
Yeah, yep. Except they usually don't make as much time for their kids as that guy in The Lion King.
Welcome to the stream, Erin. This
Thank
is what
you
we
very
do here,
much.
and by we, I mean Joe. This is what
What?
Joe does.
No, this is I'm being good, Cleo.
Putting it all on
I'm
Joe here.
being good. The fact that you need to say I'm being good should tell you something, Joe.
Put your best foot forward here, Joe.
Exactly.
I'm being good. Says every naughty child I've ever spoken to.
Yeah.
Well, here I'll show off my full shirt too while we're talking moon stuff. I got my Hello Moon shirt on.
Hello.
I just
Moon.
got this like 2 weeks ago, so I've been like wearing it constantly.
Really cute. It's really cute. I like
Any
it.
other goodbye moon, good night moon fans out there? The book.
I mean, like I used to teach. Like, I've taught like the entire age range, but I used to teach small people.
Okay.
So you know, I get you. Little ones. So.
Also been making some good progress here on Lego construction.
Well, that's really interesting. Like, I wouldn't have expected it to be that colorful from the photo.
Is that the pot that's
Yes.
just you got to put the black stuff on now.
I think it's going to be covered up, but I always appreciate that Lego when like it doesn't matter what color it is, because this is what it'll look like at the end.
Yeah.
When it doesn't matter what color it is, they're like, let's make it pretty, and then we'll hide it after you've made
Either
it
that
look
or
so
they were
gorgeous.
like, we had a surplus of the blue, orange, and yellow pellets, and so let's use those.
Surely they make this to order though, because it matches the book.
No. But what I'm saying though, Cleo, is like when they're designing this, they might say, "Hey, what bags of plastic do we have a surplus of?" Right?
Oh.
Because, hey, when we were designing this Star Wars set, we thought we were going to sell a lot more of these orange pod racers than we did. So we pre-ordered a bunch of bags of orange plastic pellets. And then when they're designing this, they're like, hey, could you use orange in this? And they're like, well, not on anything visible, but yeah, we can put some in there.
Oh.
And then, of course, it gets so popular that then they need to order more of it. So
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the botanical stuff is like amazing. It's like proper mind blowing.
yeah, this is my first one of doing the botanical ones, but I've been wanting to do it for a while.
There's a bouquet of flowers and there's a bonsai tree that I kind of
Yes.
want as well.
Cool.
Just think it's cool. And also, I'm not allowed to have like if they did a lilies set, like I have cats, so I'm not allowed to have lilies in the
Oh.
house.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So I would be, but they are my favorite flowers.
Oh.
I would be all over them. That's like,
Yeah, I have cats too, so I would be the same way.
these are great. I have the bonsai tree. It's my favorite non-Technic set, as it should be because it's cool. Like Lego as a company is pretty cool. So
Agreed. I was gonna be an engineer anywhere. I'd want to be like a Lego set designer.
I was going to say, did you hear Lego's actually opening their first manufacturing facility in the United States? That's not the same as designing the sets, but
Sure.
yeah, I think it's in North Carolina somewhere. Like a lot of people in my family work in plastics, so next time we're at like a family event, I'm gonna be like, so which of you guys are applying to work at the Lego place? There's gonna be a few hands, I'm sure.
Yeah,
your family works in plastics.
Yeah, that's why.
What exactly does that mean? Yeah.
Oh, okay. So, like, Cleo, do you know like when they make plastics, like the actual plastic pellets, they basically you heat a bunch of raw materials and run it through an extruder and then cut them into beads, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then you put the beads into molds and stuff, right?
Right. Yeah.
So a bunch of people in my family work for places that would like actually make those plastic pellets.
Oh. Okay.
Or have then moved on to jobs where they're actually using those plastic pellets in injection molds in different places, that sort of thing. We kind of fell into it sideways, because
it's the family business.
well, it's not. Well, so the thing is that my dad started off in trucking, and moved from truck driving into truck brokering, which is where you basically optimize truck routes. So you have somebody who's dropping something off in Chicago also picks something up in Chicago, right? So that he's never driving an empty truck around. And so then my dad got a truck brokering job with where one of the big clients was a plastics company. And so then they eventually were like, we need an in-house truck broker because we're moving so many plastic pellets around. And so then they hired him directly. And then they were like, we need a logistics guy to look at the order in which we're running the plastics on the lines so that we're not spending as much time cleaning the machines out. Because, for example, you can run a white plastic through the extruder and then a red plastic. But
not the other way around.
Not the other way around. Then you got to clean the whole machine and reset it. And there's all sorts of different additives for like UV resistance, heat resistance, cold resistance, brittleness, that sort of thing. That some of them can be added before each other and have a little bit of contamination and there's no issues. Others will directly like cause chemical reactions that are massive problems, right?
Right.
And so my dad spent like a year and a half just basically taking what he knew about like trucking logistics and applying it to figuring out like optimal routes for running stuff through the machines. if that makes any sense.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. It's just a case of it's my family's big into plastics is just a statement.
Well, not like they own a plastics company. Not like, oh, we got in this on World War II. You saw those bubbles on the top of the tanks. That was us. No, nothing like that. Not
Okay.
no. We don't have a ground floor on plastics.
You were one of the original people who brought plastics into this country, you know? So.
Yeah. No, that wasn't us. No. But like, no, so basically, yeah, so my dad landed this plastics job while I was in high school. Which is one of the reasons all my younger siblings had a much more comfortable life. Uh but yeah, so two of them went into like plastics and chemistry,
Okay.
and manufacturing stuff.
So have you ever tried to like, because I do a lot of 3D printing with plastics, you know. Have you ever tried to 3D print anything you made in Minecraft?
I have not personally, because that's the sort of thing that you really need a workspace for, with like certain types of ventilation and
Fair. Yeah, or sending it off to some facility to do it for you.
Oh, see, that costs money.
That does cost money. Fair
Yeah.
enough. You gotta get some connections, you know, with your plastics connections. You gotta use those.
Yeah, the thing is that they're all dealing with like mass produced stuff, not like
Sure.
one-off
Got it.
prototyping, you know.
That makes sense.
So no, I don't really. The other thing is, because my entire like home aesthetic is, I'm not sure if I'm moving in the next 9 months. I don't really accumulate objects more than like necessary, you know. And so like I look at the idea like, oh, I could have a physical version of that, and I'm like, oh, but I might have to move in the next 9 months.
Sure.
Like, one day I hope to like actually own a home, but I've been doing the apartment life bouncing around thing for a long time, and
Because millennial.
no end in sight. Woo. Yeah, because it's like, yeah, I don't know where my
generational trauma.
yeah, it's like I was hoping my kid would lottery into one of the academic magnet schools in town here, and then at that point she would be in this like funnel where it's like, okay, since she's in this academic middle school, she's going to this high school, and then like we could just move somewhere and be like, okay, this is where we're going to be until she graduates high school.
Sure.
But because she didn't, we're still kind of, wherever we live is going to determine the regional assignment. And so like there are parts of town where I'm like, oh, I could get a cheaper apartment and a studio across the street, like commercial space across the street for a studio, relatively cheap, but the schools there are just garbage. And so unless I can get her into one of these non-location based middle schools or high schools, it's like I'm stuck where I am.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Well, if you do want, I have 2 3D printers here because I do a lot of making stuff. So if you got something, I can't promise the highest of quality, but I could attempt a 3D print on your behalf. So let me know.
Okay, I've never looked into actually generating like print ready models. So yeah, and yeah, I don't even know what I would. Yeah, I don't know, Cleo. I guess your Atlantis thing would look pretty cool 3D printed.
It would. I don't know how that works, but it would look pretty cool.
Yeah, I don't know exactly how. I've just seen people export use. There's certain softwares that allow you to export your files in a 3D printable way. There's Tinkercad is like the very basic like CAD modeling software, and I know they have a way you can export your models into Minecraft. But
that's interesting, because that's one of the things that I taught like my year 6 kids, Tinkercad. So I actually have some experience with that. So
that's cool. I feel like they should have it going the other way around too, but I'm not sure.
Never can tell. Well, that's one thing to look at, I think.
Yeah, sure.
Kara K says, our library has a free-to-use makerspace with several scales of 3D models, which is so cool. Yeah, that's the other thing, is I technically do have access to local 3D printers in that way, but once again, I've been avoiding accruing more physical objects as much as possible.
Fair.
So, yeah.
Yeah, well, I'm looking forward to getting a house, because I should be able to.
Yeah.
Exciting.
What's your timeline on that? You're still waiting on your tax stuff to come back?
Just waiting on tax stuff. I mean, I need to give it to the tax people first.
Okay,
which
so
is,
there's an intermediate step there. Yeah.
Yeah, it was a case of I was waiting on documentation from them. I got that this morning, so I might just hello kitty. I might just head down to the accountants tomorrow and get going on that because I'd like a house. I'd like my own house, you know.
Yay.
Hello kitty, can I help you? Is it just for us? It's just for us. Okay. Okay. Okay, so this next bullet journal layout is the one where my birthday is, so I don't know how I'm going to do this one. So
Feel a lot of pressure for the birthday one?
I mean, not really. I've done this for a year now, and it wasn't a thing then, but it's just a case of I want to make it pretty because I don't have a lot. Hello, kitty. A lot going on where my birthday would be important. So, at least I make it important to me.
There you go.
Yeah, I'm still trying to figure out if I'm going to be able to travel for my birthday weekend or not. It's like... Because I don't have a lot of time when my daughter is away. So I feel like it's a waste to not go anywhere or do anything. Yeah. But I also, I'm also kind of like, well, I don't have a lot of time when she's away, so I should be working as many hours as possible so that when she is here, I don't have to work as much, and we can have more weekends together.
Sure.
It's just, yeah. So, I don't know.
And I have a cat, so...
Yeah. Are you going to bring the cats with you when you go look at houses in Scotland? No. Okay. They don't, get a say?
No.
Okay.
They don't get to decide?
Because, if the house had, ghosts, the cats could probably see them and warn you. You don't want to get there, and then the cats are like, what, you bought a haunted house, Cleo? Come on.
Okay. I'm gonna blow your mind here, Joe.
Okay.
Ghosts aren't real.
Well, then what are cats seeing?
Cats are mental, Joe.
Oh, okay.
They're just weird, and they see things that aren't there because their eyes are different to ours, and also they run around in the middle of the night screaming at me. She's just sitting here now. Hello. And yeah, likely dust. That's probably the best answer. Probably dust.
So you're fine with accidentally buying a dusty house because you didn't bring the cats with you. I get it. Okay.
You know what, Joe? I have the ability to vacuum.
Whoa.
Yeah. I know. It's a shock. Creeples are not ghosts, Joe.
I don't actually know what that word is. Is that British for dust bunnies?
Close enough.
Okay.
Close enough. So what's going on with the pot now? It's now just got another layer on it?
Yeah, I think it's about to be covered. The next step is putting these all along the outside.
Little foamy bits.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't know exactly. It made me put these little nubs in so that it could connect them outward. It always amazes me that this is the most efficient way to do this that someone developed. But
I don't know if it's the most I suppose most efficient if you didn't just want to extrude a plastic pot, I suppose.
Fair enough. If they're gonna make you build it, they want to make you put in some work, but
just put in the effort, okay? We're gonna judge you if you don't put in the effort, right?
Yeah. But I think it's gonna be covered like this on each of these going forward.
Are those blue or black?
They're kind of like a gray blue kind of.
Okay. I thought the pot on the front was black, so
yeah, I thought it was going to be darker too. I think they just have dramatic lighting in the picture.
That makes sense. Hello, kitty. Come down here. Do you need to come back up, or do I need to move the mic? Is this what we're doing?
See, I locked my cats out because I don't trust them on stream to not just come up and just eat all of the Lego pieces. So...
See, if I was doing something like Lego, I probably... Well, I wouldn't do that either because my house is basically one room and my bedroom.
Yeah.
So...
Sure.
It's they don't get locked out of anywhere because
There's no
they're
room.
evil, and they would find a way back in.
Yeah.
The
Fun
pot
fact.
is a very dusty blue. Okay.
I was in I don't know if you're aware of the TV shows Lego Masters and Domino Masters.
I am aware of Lego Masters, not Domino
Okay.
Masters, but Lego Masters.
Yeah. Domino Masters was the spin-off of Lego Masters, which I think you could probably guess kind of what it was like, competition
Yep.
shows. I was running to appear on both of these shows. I with making the push for Domino Masters, that's where more of my skill set lies. I don't know how to. They make these incredible structures, you know, and I'm like, I can do a kit. I don't know if I can design all those from scratch, but dominoes I can. So I'm fingers crossed, hoping Domino Masters gets a second season, because I think there's a good shot that I'll be able to be on it. But
That's cool.
Excellent.
We'll see.
And do they build like domino rallies at that point?
Yeah, they give you like, I think it's like, they give you a huge amount of time, it's like 16 hours or something like that to build like a domino run / like Rube Goldberg machine that has like a ton of chain reactions and like is themed along a certain theme and does cool stuff, basically.
That sounds pretty awesome.
That does sound like fun.
Yeah, I'm like, I want to be on this show just for the fact of having access to unlimited dominoes for my creations, you know, and not have to purchase, you know, 20,000 dominoes to do something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So
aggressive domino making.
Yeah, exactly. Speed dominoing.
Okay,
would you have to go to LA for that? Is that where they film, or is it something like local?
Yeah, it was an LA thing.
That's cool.
Just trying to move the chair that's got the mic on it away from the cat because I don't know. Oh, posture check. What are we adding? Oh, you're adding Domino Masters to the list. Thank you, honey. Sorry, like Lego Masters is something that I watched with my other half. So
okay.
Yeah,
some of my friends.
This is now going on the list of things that we watch.
Good. Yeah, some of my friends were on it, so get a root for Ruby Zoom's team. The Charlie's Angles was her team. Yeah, pretty incredible. Yeah.
Approved.
Have you all ever done any TV stuff?
I try and stay out of that sort of thing.
Yeah, let's just stick to your stream and
just like
I've done some tryouts for commercials and stuff like that here and there, but nothing ever really panned out. The big problem is for me, because I'm a single parent, like I can't just fly to LA for a week, even if I could afford it, which I also can't afford because being a single parent's expensive.
So they're going to pay for that for you.
Yeah, so I'm kind of limited to like what happens to be filming in Nashville.
Sure.
And what my schedule looks like. Yeah. So I don't know. It's something I'd be interested in doing, but like the problem is the sorts of shows I would most like to be on, I'm the least qualified to be on. So that's kind of discouraging.
For example,
Cleo, are you going to guess the example?
No.
Oh, the way
you're doing Taskmaster.
Yeah?
Yeah, no, you're not qualified to be on Taskmaster.
I know, and it makes me sad. I would love to be on Taskmaster.
You need a solid 5, a tight 5.
Yeah, no, that's why I'm looking at moving to Edinburgh so I can get, because if you want to be on Taskmaster, you have to do Fringe. Like that's basic. That's a baseline requirement. You have to do Fringe.
Like you just said, this is why I want to move to Scotland.
Well, no. I want to move to Scotland because of my grandmother's legacy, but I want to move to Edinburgh in particular.
Okay.
So that I can perform at Fringe for a few years and hopefully be on Taskmaster season 32.
Love it. You got to play the long game, right?
Yeah, they're on season 15 now, so I don't think they're going anywhere. So yeah, 10 years from now, my kid goes off to college. We move to Scotland.
Becomes a stand-up comedian.
I mean, I feel like this is, in terms of like 17-year goals, this is not an unreasonable thing. If I said, Cleo, I'm going to become a U.S. Senator in 17 years, that would be absolutely impossible. But if I said...
You've got to become funny in 17 years.
Yeah, thanks, Cleo.
This sounds like the castle idea. It's very close to the castle idea. I think he's got more chance of pulling this off than owning the castle.
Well, I have noticed that, like, on 8 out of 10 cats, I think it would be easier to get on 8 out of 10 cats does countdown than on Taskmaster, because it's not less of a commitment.
Sure.
Because you're so committed.
Well, no, because, like, they have different people cycle through every episode. So, like, with Taskmaster, they have 5 people for the entire season, or the entire series. Whereas Taskmaster, they have 4 different people every episode, and the series still has, like, 6 to 10 episodes. So that's a bit wider net, right?
Yeah.
But no, they definitely do seem to bring in, like, random acts from Canada or America or South Africa or whatever. So,
1 second.
Like, it seems like they're trying to showcase,
months. And Ginger Snap, thank you for the raid. It's appreciated. So, I don't think Jimmy Carr would.
Well, and Cameron JK points out that an advantage of 8 out of 10 cats is that they don't always bring in funny foreigners. So, I'm not going to necessarily have to be as good.
Bring in famous foreigners.
I'm going to say the people that they brought in from the United States, I had never heard of. Like, the Americans on 8 out of 10 cats.
Maybe not famous to you.
So you think you can do a Minecraft Taskmaster edition,
I'm tempted.
I can see some fun there.
I bet you are, Joe.
Yeah. Jin says, of course Joe can't be a U.S. Senator in 17 years. He'll be in Scotland. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's the only thing stopping Joe. The fact that he's moving to Scotland.
Duskadare says ZF did a Taskmaster thing a few years back, didn't he? Maybe. I probably want to look that up, because that sounds like something of interest. Cleo, do you remember that?
Nope.
Okay.
I mean, like, lots of people have done Taskmaster stuff, or Taskmaster adjacent stuff. So, like, it's not new. It will get recycled multiple times throughout the Hermitcraft community, because it's a very famous game show that's easy to pull off in Minecraft.
Yeah, I've been thinking about doing 8 out of 10 cats in this season of Hermitcraft. If I get ahead on my pinball machine.
I am not convinced that...
Hey, thank you to Mahi0 for our first tip of the stream, $10, who says, let's go Series 32. I'm going to rotate the camera 10 degrees angular. So thank you very much for that. We are doing rotational tips today. Every dollar that comes in, the camera rotates 1 degree.
And I had to say, TikTok's, which I'm live streaming on my TikTok over here to the side, has a very different tipping system. So I have to say thank you for the turkey. Because I got a turkey sticker, which serves as a donation. So thank you very much.
Great turkeying.
Yes. I do appreciate that they have an animation. A big turkey pops up on the screen. So
we've got a pinned tweet. If you want to see all of Erin's stuff, go support, follow, do all the things that I'm bad at telling people to go do. Do that for me, please.
Okay. Another
I make all the science and space stuff over there, and some maker stuff too, some 3D printing, as I mentioned earlier.
That's cool.
That's cool.
So, like, when you 3D print things, I've noticed that there's kind of two kind of types of 3D printer owners. And maybe this is a flawed taxonomy, but there's some people who are like, okay, I've got this 3D printer, and then when I need something, I can just make it. And then there's other people who are just like, the 3D printer should be continuously running or I'm wasting it. And so they're just like, okay, I'm going to print out every D&D miniature and every dungeon feature because I might run a D&D campaign set in a castle with chains on the walls at some point. So I need to like 3D print castle walls with chains on them. And then I also need to 3D print D&D scale bookcases. And then they're just like basically building a library of parts continuously that they're not sure if they'll ever use.
Right.
As
You're
a
not
GM.
wrong. Yeah. Yeah, you're not wrong. I'm definitely in more of the first camp, I would say.
Gotcha.
That and also,
as a GM, I would probably be doing that. Like, not that I play like physically with people most of the time, but
Uh-huh.
I would be 3D printing that stuff just like so I've got like, and now I can just slot together like because a lot of my D&D stuff is on the fly
Mm-hmm.
because I just make
Yeah.
stuff up for a living and it's just very easy to make stuff up.
Yeah.
Sure.
So yeah, I do a lot of just sort of like, yes, and now the table has come to life because it was actually enchanted by the evil wizard in this castle. It's that sort of stuff. So I'd need a table model at least.
Yeah,
I
the
love
problem
that,
with
yeah.
that is like, when are you going to use a table in any other setting? You know?
Honestly, yeah, no, tables are rare.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I've been a long time D&D content consumer, and I'm
Mhm.
very excited because I think I'm finally gonna have a group to play with for the first time coming up. So I'm
Oh,
very, very, very
awesome.
excited.
That's
Okay,
cool. Are you
okay,
doing that in
okay.
real life, or is that a stream thing?
In real life with friends that do not produce content. So yes.
That's the way to do
Okay,
it.
understood. So character concepts. What are you after?
I know. No, yeah, so I probably will be just doing it. It'll be virtual through like a Roll20 sort of thing, but yeah, just with friends.
Excellent. Okay, that's where like I play every Saturday through Roll20.
Okay.
So I can assure you that it's a lot of fun. So are you
Yeah.
playing D&D or one of the variants?
We're gonna do 5th edition just because all
Okay.
of us watch Dimension 20 and the Adventure Zone. So
D20 is great. D20
Yeah.
is the best.
It's my favorite. So we're all very familiar with more of those systems, and all of us are kind of more beginners on the player side, but have binged all of these seasons. So
Yeah, no.
we're
Like
excited.
honestly, my favorite from that was Court of Fey and Flowers, which was only D20 in the fact that they had to roll sometimes.
Yeah, but who
It was
needs
more
that when you have
roleplay.
such good improvisers, So.
Yeah, but like honestly, like most of my campaigns, I do not like. I am not a big fan of like the combat side of things.
Okay.
I like the roleplay side of things, which if you're a D20 nut, then
Yes.
probably you do too.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think
so
our
yeah.
first campaign is going to be try to be fantasy high-esque. I'm looking at my character being a druid that works for like the Future Farmers of America and can turn into like cows and pigs and things like that. So that's what it's looking like for my first one.
Yep. That has a good chance of going off the rails very quickly.
Oh,
I appreciate
absolutely. In a very good way. So
like I tried Pathfinder like the other day for the first time. As somebody who doesn't like combat in D&D, I liked the combat. So
okay.
There's a lot of stuff going on there, and there's a whole lot of new D&D. Like D&D 5 is like the first place I would send people who were role playing because it's an easy system to learn, particularly if you know all the stuff from like D20.
And speaking of 5, I just got 5 from Mini Cheese Mouse, so I'm rotating the camera 5 degrees.
Woohoo!
Who says turns off the gravity so Joe floats up the wall. Sorry.
Yeah, they're turning to D&D 6 edition, I think, next very soon. So
they've claimed that they're not going to do that. They've said that the next version of D&D will be still called D&D 5. It'll just have conflicting rules with the existing books.
Yeah, it's just like you can't use it with the D&D 5. It's D&D 6. We all know it, Joe.
Great job.
Great
job.
But what I'm saying is, the Critical Role people, I guess, have just announced a new system to be released at the same sort of time as D&D 5.5. So yeah, if you're not interested in supporting Wizards of the Coast, I would never recommend that everybody not support Wizards of the Coast by pirating books. But just saying,
Of course not. Yeah.
They might send the Pinkertons after you. Did you hear about this?
I don't live in America.
Do you not? Oh, do you not have Pinkertons there?
No.
Oh, that must be nice.
Illegal, Joe.
That must be nice. Oh. Yeah.
But yeah, so they can't frighten me because we don't have Pinkertons. But yeah, if you ever want to get into a new like a different like non-Wizards of the Coast brand system, like now's a good time because their whole system's going to change very shortly. So
Well,
like Critical Role, Pathfinder, like any of the like the small things like Kids on Broomsticks or Kids on Bikes is where that originated from. That's good.
Well, I will
Totally.
say, like, if your friends already know D&D, like, the best thing to do is just get in the habit of meeting every week and playing. And so,
Sure.
if you have the books, you already have the knowledge, just go for it. I've actually been really impressed with Pathfinder 2e myself, though. If I was going to run a game, that would be what I would run it in. But
Yeah.
a big part of...
Character creation is horrible, though.
Oh no.
Well, no, I mean, well, were you doing first level characters?
Yeah, we're starting out from the beginning.
Yeah, because I was gonna say I didn't have any, like, for me, character creation has only ever been a problem at like higher levels. If I'm trying to jump to like create a 6th level character from scratch, it's way harder for me than just first level. But the thing I really liked about Pathfinder is they've got these one shots for new players that it's like, hey, this is designed for a small first level party. It'll take 1 to 2 hours to run. Because I'm always looking for stuff I can run for my Patreon patrons during the summer when my kid is gone, so I don't feel like terribly, terribly lonely all the time. And so I wanted to do some D&D stuff because that was the system I knew best personally. But their one shots would be like, this is a 5-hour adventure, but it actually takes 8.
Oh.
And I'm like, I can't get my Patreon patrons together for 8 hours to run these one shots. That's just not viable. So I was like, well, I'll try these Pathfinder ones. Even though it says it's 1 to 2 hours, if it takes 4, we'll be fine. You know, it's still shorter than the best case for the D&D stuff. At the end of the day, even with people who had like set up their character sheets wrong and we're like, I'm like, okay, no, you need to have spells, and we're reworking the characters during the session, we were still done in 2 hours consistently. And so just for getting like a small group of people together who have never played the Pathfinder 2e, it's called the Pathfinder Bounties is the name of this collection of 1 to 2 hour one shots. But there's like 20 or 30 of them now too. So I can run them just like going down the list for my Patreon patrons and not be repeating or running the same thing every time, you know?
Sure.
Now that's way different from like running an adventure for your friends where you're telling a story over the course of years. But like the great thing about that though is like in your case, if you're running a 5e adventure for your friends, you can just ignore all the new books. Like, you know, that was the biggest problem that Wizards had with like whenever they introduce an edition that's not very popular, like, you know, when 4th edition came out, it wasn't like, oh, everybody stopped playing D&D and went to a different game. Everybody just kept playing D&D 3.5. You can play D&D actual 5th edition for years and just say any book published after 2022 doesn't count. Like, you know, don't use those spells because they're not balanced for the version of the game we're on. And there's no one stopping you. Not even the Pinkertons.
Say that like the current version of the spells are balanced for the game we're on.
Yeah, there's apparently some concerns about that. But honestly, if the Dungeon Master can't route around that, they're not trying very hard. Like, you know, at a certain point, like, if you've got a wizard in the party who's got all sorts of wild spells, you just need to be able to say, and here's the fallback adventure for this session. Because that was not a problem in any way, shape, or form.
Sure.
There's no logical reason that the story I had constructed for you would actually be a challenge. Oh, whoops. My bad. Like, it's fine.
Well, I'll have to let you all know how it goes after
honestly,
our first
it's so much fun. You won't stop telling anyone for a week.
You'll be looking for people to tell about it. Yeah.
Like honestly, yeah. Like one of the hermits recently got into D&D, and for like a solid week, his Twitter was all about D&D.
I am now a D&D account. Yes.
Yeah.
It's just like okay.
Well,
like, it's sort of like that moment in The Good Place. It's just sort of like, I saw all the universe folding in on each other at once, and then they're like, yeah, the time knife, we've all seen it. And that is the moment of just like, new D&D player to experienced D&D player. No, I get it, I understand. It's just like
got it.
It's just so exciting the first few weeks. Definitely.
Let's see. Delg mentions if I was going to run anything right now, it would be Call of Cthulhu campaign. I've actually played in a few one-shots that Delg ran on a different Discord that I'm a part of. And it is a lot of fun because in Call of Cthulhu, every character is disposable. You go into it saying, my character might die saving people. That's the best case. They might just die for no reason.
And sometimes they might die killing people, which is the best.
But it's just like, yeah, because Call of Cthulhu, it's like you're fighting these ancient forces who are manipulating cults to try to, you know, open gateways into alternate realities and do all sorts of problematic things. And it's like, we had one game where all three of our characters barely survived after stopping the cultists. And we were just like, what do we do when we win a fight? like is there mechanics in the game for like rewards?
My favorite thing was me and my friends went through an entire Call of Cthulhu playing, didn't go insane, and that was because anytime there was something weird, we opened the door, we looked at the monstrous hounds cavorting around a grotesque monster, and we just went shutting the door on that and walking away.
Moving on.
Yeah, it was just like, we saw that, went a little bit nuts, we're walking away. This isn't our problem.
Yeah. The role we're playing in this role-playing game is cops paid off by the Cthulhu mob. You know, what's going on in there is not really our business, and we didn't see anything.
Yeah, no, honestly, we were just like your bog standard investigators who were just like really weak, and they might defeat the dark cult using bread. I'm pretty sure I murdered that lich, but the bread was instrumental in the incredibly stereotypical characters we decided to play in that thing. I think I was one of those female aviatrix kind of characters at that point.
As opposed to a male aviatrix, which was a very popular.
Joe, you could actually, at any point in your life, not be a pedant, and your life would be so much easier.
Oh, I know. Well, in fairness, somebody did correct me earlier when I mentioned that Erin was from space. They're like, no, she's from Earth.
I mean, you all don't know that. Maybe Joe knows me better than you all do.
Yeah.
So, you know.
Look, if somebody said, this is Cleo and she's from space, I would not correct that.
Yeah. If somebody asks you if you're from space, you say yes.
Correct.
People are asking me if I'm actually drawing anything. I'm trying to figure out like a bank of targets underneath this right flipper, and I've just been like drawing things and then erasing them for an hour and 22 minutes now.
So it's like a regular craft stream.
Yeah. Because I'm like, okay, well, what if I had the targets like this? And I'm like, oh no, then they'll bounce off that in that way. Okay, what if I had them like this? No, that doesn't work. So yeah, no, it's very trial and error in a very focused part of the illustration. So, yeah.
Do you feel Joe's very focused? I don't feel Joe's very focused.
I do have to say how Joe and I met in person was pinball.
Mm-hmm.
So, ran into each other in the pinball scene when I was traveling for work, and I was like, wait a second, I know who you are. I have seen your Minecraft stuff before. So, but
that's what's weird to me. It's sort of like Joe, who plays pinball, like, you know, semi-constantly, and I'm in the pinball space. I know you from Minecraft.
Yes.
Well, but like the thing is though that like I'm not a famous pinball player, Cleo. I'm like 3,470th in the world rankings. That's impressive enough that I could mention it as a joke if I got a pinball sponsorship.
There you go.
Like if I was doing commercials for a pinball company, I'd be like, I'm Joe Hills. You may recognize me from being 3,470th in the IFPA World Rankings, but more likely, you've never heard of me.
Yes.
Like, genuinely? Yeah.
Genuinely,
Okay,
no,
Joe.
people have never heard of me. Most people.
Yeah, I wasn't going to put it like that. I started the word with genuinely, and I was just sort of like, I can't finish this sentence without looking like
But
an
the
arse.
thing, okay, the
So
thing is though,
you
Cleo,
did it for me. I
but the
appreciate that,
thing
Joe.
is, some people have. That's the weird thing. It's not like being if you're the guy who plays Tyrion in Game of Thrones, and you go into a coffee shop, they're gonna know who you are. But like I said, I went into a library without a valid library card and was allowed to borrow a book because the librarian knew me from Twitter. Like,
You know, you take what you can get. But...
So I mean, and I didn't know that going, but like that's the thing is like sometimes this stuff works out. Like
there you go. And I thought it was funny too, because like all of the people at Pinball were like, "Yeah, I know Joe does this like streaming thing on the side, but you know him from
streaming thing on the side, Joe."
They were like, "Oh, well, that's pretty cool that you know him from something else other than Pinball." I was like, "Yeah, that's not Pinball's not his main thing, but okay." So
well, but Pinball is where they see me every week, right?
That's where they're in your brain, yeah.
Yeah,
so.
yeah.
I gotcha. Which I saw that they started to do some streams from there too, right?
Yeah, I'm really excited. There's so Daniel and Bonnie Karan are streaming on the Broken Diode channel with Casey helping them out with commentary a lot, and then also the Pinball Therapy channel is Brian and Oliver Greeley, or no, Brian and Greeley Oliver, and they're mostly streaming the Smyrna events. Yeah, so we're really up and coming in the streaming world.
I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Sorry.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
Thank you, Ty Pumpkin, for the 9-month resub, and thank you, Denouement, for the 24 months saying, "I loved your streams for the last 2 years." I appreciate that.
Woo.
And that seems like a ridiculous amount of time to be doing this.
And thank you from my side to the Cameron JK for the pinata. Again, TikTok's donation structure.
Fancy.
Thank you, Cam, for being supportive. Appreciate it. Stealing books from libraries is morally wrong. Steal them from stores.
Delg Zero says, Joe, have you been to the Pinball Museum in Carnegie? I have not. I've been to the one in Chattanooga and the one in Gatlinburg, but not the one in Carnegie.
Can I help? Mm-hmm.
So presumably Cleo's cat is doing something that I can't see.
Oh, you guys probably can't hear it, but the chat probably can.
Okay.
Because you've got Discord noise cancelling going on for you.
Yeah.
I assumed it was cat related too. Yes.
I mean, it always is, isn't it? Like, people, if you got cats, you understand.
Yes. If they're doing something interesting, you must acknowledge it. It's the rules.
You're going to get a letter from the government at some point saying what? You've encouraged people to pirate stuff, therefore that's technically not a crime.
Wait. What?
I don't know what to tell you. Like, technically saying, I think this should be fine, even if it's an illegal act, it's technically not illegal.
It depends on, so there's a difference between incitement to violence laws.
Can't really have incitement to theft. That's not a crime.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, is that's a little,
You wouldn't download a physical book. Yes, I would. You wouldn't download a car. Bet I would download a car.
I don't want a car.
100%. Download a car, 3D print it. If I could do that, I would. Okay?
I do love the amount of law conversation we have had today. We've got space law, we've got pirating law. We got it all.
Mm-hmm.
We do. We are truly in a blessed time.
Also, I like how my structure has now gotten too tall. I didn't know how tall the flowers were going to be.
Oh, wow.
How tall is that?
I don't know, because I think I think it goes. It looks like about this much higher for a flower. So here's perspective. So I'm like, here's my arm, but
Okay.
I'm like I can tilt my camera up a little bit. There we go.
There we
Here's the
go.
top part. Nope, still not there. There we go. Here's the top. There we go.
Okay, cool. So weird. Yeah, I've got kitty hugs going on, so you're only seeing the tail right now.
Zoomane says we should actually have a lawyer on the stream sometime.
No, that's terrible because then we know, and then it's definitely illegal if we're informed.
You know, I think that there's a saying that ignorance of the law is no excuse.
I mean, you know,
No time to get prepared.
you're
I'm not-
American.
I'm not sure how legally sound that is. Okay.
Wouldn't download Cleo's cats. No, they're mine. Actually, to be fair, you know, if I could share like the absolute weirdness and stress they put me under, I totally would.
And yeah,
But right now she's like cradled against my shoulder like a baby, which is her favorite place. So,
oh, adorable.
She can be. She can also be a pain in the butt. Yes, I'm talking about you. She's just in heaven at the moment. Our special guest star is Erin. I forgot your last name.
Winick Anthony.
Winick Anthony. They're from space, except not really. I mean, technically we're all from space, but
I'll take this title. Yes. I worked for NASA for 4 years, so hence the space titles. And happy to take any additional space questions if anyone has any.
Space questions.
Yeah.
That's good. Chat space questions.
Irish Wristwatch wants to know if you've tasted space food. I'm guessing that means like flight ready type stuff.
Yes. All Johnson Space Center employees are eligible to be official taste testers for astronaut food. So yeah, I've tasted banana chocolate and vanilla breakfast drinks they actually test different formulas of them to like see which ones are best and the textures and stuff. And I tested like some granola bars and unflavored mac and cheese. So
we wouldn't want it to be cheese flavored.
Yeah, I think they were testing the base pasta first, and then they were going to test the sauces later. That was my assumption, at least, because I hope they're not serving them just completely bland, unflavored pasta. So, yeah. But yeah, I'd say better than you expect them to be would be my assessment. The breakfast drinks kind of taste like any type of like protein shake you would have.
Okay.
And the granola bars were a little, they make them less crunchy because you can't have crumbs in space because crumbs float around and can get in stuff.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, no, I've enjoyed that part of that job. It was very fun. I was also a human test subject for other experiments. So I got to test out like yeah, they have like simulators that simulate capsules that land on the ocean and to test out like motion sickness treatments for when astronauts land on the water. So I got to go sit in one of those and test out some of those treatments and like my reaction speeds and things like that while I'm doing it.
Oh, interesting. So they would put you in like a boat in a wave pool and give you like anti-nausea pills, and then say, complete these complex tasks and see if your cognition is impaired?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, that is so cool.
They would test my blood every 15 minutes, too, to see what the concentration of medicine was in my blood while they were doing these tests to see if I got better as the medicine started to work more. So it was really cool, and that experiment is moving on to the next stage. So now I believe they're actually going to test that in astronauts too. So they test it for the initial stage to see like how effective this is, and then it moves down the line to the important people. They test all that initially on us common folk. And then move on to
I
the
love
astronauts.
that there's different tiers of human testing.
Yes,
there's different tiers of humans, Joe.
Yeah, I mean,
what we've learned.
Yeah, I'm learning so much.
Yes.
Question. So, there's a lot of question about gas giants.
Oh yeah.
I think, I don't know why this is. I think this might be a new thing. But do gas giants have a solid core? I don't know if you would know that.
I don't know that. I don't think, Joe, do you know? Because I'm like,
I
from your JWST
I
research?
mean, I would imagine that some of them do,
That's what I was thinking,
because
but I can't
like
say with
at a certain,
confidence.
I don't know that you could reach it though, because I think you would be too buoyant to get there, because there would be
Mm,
denser gases and liquids, uh, or basically the density of the gases would increase as you approached the core, to a point where you'd probably be too buoyant to reach it, would be my
okay.
suspicion. But you'd also be too dead. So
I mean, you would be incredibly dead by
you would
that
be
point.
very dead.
I mean, like, don't do that things without a spacesuit, guys. Is all we're saying.
Yeah,
Yeah,
apparently
And
this is some
honestly,
sort
even
of.
if with a spacesuit, don't do that sort of thing because, whoa, would
Gotcha.
you be able to swim in the gas of a gas giant? I would imagine so.
It depends on the density at the level you were at.
yeah, because gas can get pretty dense too.
Yeah.
Mm,
It's funny, I
okay.
have to say too, one thing about space stuff is you often become an expert in a very specific area. And so I'm like,
Mhm.
people always expect me to know all the constellations in the sky. I absolutely suck at that. I can't, I can't identify stars or things in the sky. But if you want to talk to me about space station science and rockets, I probably
Ooh,
have that down. It's
yeah.
very
There
funny
you
that
go.
everyone gets super specialized.
Space station stuff and rockets, guys.
I mean, always happy to talk on all things space, but I think I'll be taking some guesses.
I mean, honestly, they're at least they're educated guesses, whereas just us is making stuff up.
Yeah.
Hey,
What does space radiation do? Radiates, I would imagine.
yeah, not great stuff. It can
What's
cause
it
a
do
lot
to
of health issues.
humans? Do you
Yeah,
know?
yeah,
Tell
it
me,
causes
tell me, tell me.
a lot of health issues. So, they actually do space weather predictions for spacewalks to make
Hmm.
sure that when astronauts are going outside, they don't get too much radiation. And astronauts actually have radiation limits for their lifetime that they can't go over. So you can't fly to space if you go over your radiation limit.
Ooh.
But the equivalent of having too much radiation on Earth, you can have health issues, cancer issues, tumors, things like that. Um, but there is a quote safe level of it, of being exposed to it, and it's constantly monitored for all of the astronauts.
Is it like the X-ray kind of thing? Because you know that's
Yeah,
radiation.
yeah, exactly. It's the equivalent of having a lot of X-rays of being up there. I don't
Okay.
remember the number, but like thousands of X-rays. And so yeah, there's also lots of studies to try to make sure that we're keeping the radiation levels down, and trying to, they have like a new
Hmm.
vest that they've been trying on called Astrorad vest.
Astro. That sounds like a Fallout kind of
Hey,
company.
maybe they'll put it in there in the future, you know. um but yeah, it's this like hefty vest that they put on that's supposed to protect them for, especially on deep space missions, because you get less
Hmm.
radiation exposure closer to Earth because the atmosphere is helping protect it. But when you go to the moon and Mars, you have higher levels of exposure. So they could put this on in case of like a high radiation event from the sun.
Hmm. Cool. That actually does sound pretty neat. What led to you being a space communicator? How'd you
Um,
get there?
So I originally started out as an engineer, and I was the weird engineer who liked to write and communicate about what I did. So I started doing
That's a
some.
sin in engineering. Just kidding.
Yeah, I know, right? Yeah, it's
Supposed to
very
find the things,
uncommon,
putting the bits together. That's the interesting part.
right? I
Sorry.
know. I got to do lots of lab reports because people appreciated my assistance on that. Um, but I kind of found a niche in enjoying using that technical background to be able to talk to the engineers and communicate, and then uh, to share that with the world and help them share the importance in what they do. And I grew up in Florida, so I was always around the space program. I got to see shuttle launches and things like that growing up. Um, my grandfather actually worked on the Apollo program, so that's why my family was down in Florida, and definitely had that connection that it was kind of fun to be able to continue.
Well, that's cool.
That does
Yeah.
sound really awesome.
Did he keep anything? Because you always hear about things where it's like, oh, we thought we didn't have the ability to make Saturn V components, like this part or that part, but then they found it in some random engineer's attic. You know.
Yeah, so the stuff that I still have from him, I have a jacket of his from when he was working on this.
Hmm.
It actually has a shuttle on it. So the first, he worked on the shuttle program too.
Oh, that's cool.
Um, and it has like it looks very 80s because it has like a big shuttle on the back with like pop art type thing. And it has actually my great grandma's name on it because he made it for her to go to the first
Aw.
shuttle launch. It's
Mm-hmm.
very cute, yeah. And then I have some of his just old pictures. He was really into photography, so some of his pictures of he worked mainly on the Saturn 1B, which is like the precursor to the Saturn 5, and
Mm-hmm.
he was a test engineer. So I have some cool pictures of him working on those rockets and stuff like that.
That's pretty neat.
Awesome.
I like that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's cool to see those little personal pieces of history rather than the big
Yeah.
NASA photos.
Let's have a look. Your favorite experience through being a space communicator? What's the best thing that happened to you doing that job?
Well, I think it's hard to not say going to launches. So I got to go to 3 rocket launches during my time there. So I
That's pretty
saw
cool.
2 SpaceX Falcon 9s lift off. They were commercial resupply missions bringing up science and supplies to the space station. And I got to go to one up in Wallops, Virginia. People often don't know that we launch rockets from up there too. And it was a Northrop Grumman rocket that was carrying a Cygnus spacecraft. Again, science and supplies up there. So I feel like everyone in their lifetime should see a rocket launch. It's like the feeling you get in your chest. It's something unlike anything else, and it always makes me cry. It's I don't know. Some people are rocket launch criers. It just like you get this like force and emotion that comes along with it. So yeah,
I mean, yeah, no, I can understand. It does feel like it would be a massive thing to
yeah,
watch, and it does look pretty cool.
yeah.
I don't think I will ever be able to go to see one, but
You never know. Keep your eye out in case there's an opportunity. But
if NASA wants to invite me, I will go.
Well, so yeah, I was gonna say,
Joe's going, well, I will go first, Cleo. I'm right here.
Well, the problem with the so NASA Social actually does have like a bunch of stuff for
mhm.
social media people to come to launches. The problem is a lot of them are restricted to U.S. citizens. I don't know if the launch ones are, but a lot of the ones like behind the scenes in like Huntsville, for example, would be. The other problem is with them, they don't pay for your hotel or flight, and they say, like, hey, we think the launch window is these 7 days, but it might also get pushed back 3 weeks, right?
Launches are fickle things. They are hard to travel around. Yeah.
Yeah, so like my family could watch my kid for like 3 days so I could go film it at NASA launch, but I can't get them on the hook for like a 3 week window.
Right.
And, you got to buy the flight last second at that point. And then it's expensive. So, yeah, I haven't done any of the official NASA social launches just because, yeah, it's too much of a logistical nightmare. But Cleo, I know you talked about like, hey, you might go to Florida at some point. If it happened to be the time of a launch, there
Mhm.
are like areas that like the general public can go and watch from, like a safe
Yeah,
distance, like 10, 20 miles away.
exactly.
Okay.
There's a place that opened recently called the Space Bar, and it's like a rooftop bar that you can watch launches from. So if you want to
That's
go for the full party.
I mean, if you're not going to go for the full party, why bother?
There you go.
Except for the fact that it's just really cool. I mean, aside from that,
Yeah.
They have opened some up to uh, foreign nationals is the official term.
ooh,
I know for Artemis because there's a Canadian astronaut on board the next moon mission,
Hmm.
and
right.
so I think there's a good chance that they put a European ESA astronaut on a future one as well. So we'll see.
Yeah, so you might be able to get in on that.
Hmm.
Because is Britain still part of ESA
I
after
don't
leaving the
know what we're
EU?
part
I
of anymore.
don't think so. I
Oh,
think it
well then
might
never
have.
mind, Cleo.
Yeah, but I know that they still have a space agency even independent of ESA though.
We do. That's
Yeah.
true.
Yeah, well what you should look at, Cleo, is when they're doing a launch. Like where do they do their launches from?
Interestingly, often French Guiana.
That was gonna be my guess. Yeah, because so if you could get down to one of those, I mean that would be pretty cool.
Yeah,
It
and
would be pretty cool, and it also means I get to go to French Guiana.
Yeah.
So, double win.
Oh, I've been trying to
believe
find
they are also
excuses to leave the country, so...
There you go. We're just trying to book your next international travel for you.
Yeah, so the problem is, so I'm, the American immigration process is very challenging, and I'm currently engaged to somebody who is trying to immigrate here, and they can't come to America during this process, like having visited America many times, but they have to stay out until the whole thing goes through now that we've started this process, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the idea of like, oh, hey, let's go to French Guiana and watch a launch together because you can't come here to Nashville for a year while this paperwork goes through. That's looking very appealing.
Nice.
I mean, yeah. I mean, it's like, it is one of those, hey, this person that you want to spend the rest of your life with, you're not going to get to see them for a year.
Yeah, enjoy. That's my favorite part of the whole process. Grumble, 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 grumble.
And I do think they are trying to actually work on constructing some launch opportunities from actually Great Britain too. So that's been in works.
We're not the best placed for it, to be honest.
You're at least near you have some coastal places, but usually
a little bit of coastal area, yeah, like a small bit, like as an island.
Yeah, you got there's a little bit around, yeah.
Yeah, Dr. Schlurf says the UK is still involved with the ESA. Well, you can be involved with the ESA without being part of it. Like, NASA is involved with the ESA, but that's not part of the ESA, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Apparently, Germany people are discussing building mobile space launch programs in the North Sea. Oh, there you go.
I've got arms coming out from my flower now.
Ooh, very fancy.
It is looking pretty cool. Not gonna lie. It does sort of look like a Triffid at the moment, though.
Yeah, I know, right? It's got a little monster energy, so...
It's a little bit aggressive. Especially those two bits at the bottom. I know they're roots, but it's just sort of like... At the moment, I don't know how to feel about it. It's going to look amazing at some point. But I don't know if now's the point, you know?
Yeah. Work in progress. It's got to get worse before it gets better, you know?
Those are the rules, actually. Yeah, like legally.
Yes.
Things must get worse before they get better. So we're due for like a whole raft of better soon.
There you go.
Okay, Cleo, I'm realizing that I have a backlog on my Discord chat because of the way that I have the Discord window set up to show Erin's video. I've been instructed to tell you that Dippin' Dots is like Calippo shots, but with liquid nitrogen. I'm assuming Calippo shots means something to a British person.
Yes, it does. Okay, that makes sense. That makes sense.
I now will have to go look up Calippo shots. I'm guessing they're like Dippin' Dots, so...
Yeah.
I would imagine, yeah, that... Still nice to see the Crash News have the most random conversations. Honestly, like, I think we've been fairly focused this stream. Just as a rule, right?
Yeah, just some slight law detours, but other than that, on topic. Yeah.
And thank you for the 10 months resub. We appreciate you. We appreciate all of you guys because, you know...
Okay. Kindlelist says that the United Kingdom is definitely a member of the ESA. Okay.
Okay.
There we go.
I like the fact that everybody's going, no, tell them we're a member, okay? Hey, okay.
Yeah, Kindlelist...
I don't know.
Yeah, Kindlelist just says, I realized that you aren't able to see Discord chat. I am now. I looked back and now it's posted in 2 places. Thanks, Kindlelist.
Okay, here's the question. Is there anything else?
Like, what do you mean? Anything else in
your
space?
Discord chat? Because you said I've now got a backlog and you asked me
well, let's see. NJ Coffee Junkie is getting her passport soon and wants to go to London and Germany.
Nice.
I mean, don't go to Croydon. That's all we're saying. Running themes.
So Croydon is where London's pinball tournaments are. And apparently it's like the least accessible part of London via any form of transport.
Cool.
And it's also the nastiest.
But that's why
Just
it's
don't go.
that's why it's one of the only places that can afford enough pinball machine like to have enough floor space for enough pinball machines to run tournaments. But anyway.
Okay, Pinto Beam. We appreciate the science behind radiation sickness, etc. But just, it's okay. Let it go. Let it go, man. We're on to new things. We appreciate you. But just chill.
Okay.
Oh, a space station question. What happens when the ISS reaches the end of its lifetime? Will it be just left up there to continue orbiting or be brought crashing down in a controlled manner?
Good question. We do have to actively keep it up there right now, so it actually gets boosted relatively frequently because the way the space and orbit works is it's actually falling around the Earth, so
Yeah.
it's going slightly closer all the time. So when we stop doing that, yeah, it will come down, and the idea is to deorbit it and splash it down in the ocean. There is a portion of the ocean called like the graveyard where these things are often targeted, where it's like furthest away from any land. So you could go there and see like the remnants of stuff that has splashed down in the past. And yeah, so it will be deorbited and splashed down, and hopefully some parts of it saved, for like history, but we'll see.
Sure. I mean, I can like Here's the question: won't a lot of it just burn up on re-entry, or?
I think actively some parts of it would have to be brought down to save any of it.
Okay.
So, like, if you wanted to save some like scientific facility or some specific thing, yeah, you would have to bring it down actively, and then I don't know, maybe you can go to that part of the ocean and see what random debris is there. But yeah, you wouldn't get anything.
Cool.
I mean, I personally love the idea of them auctioning off certain things like that. I mean, I've been to like charity auction live streams where they're like, "Hey, we have this set of this D&D show that we ran on stage in Seattle. So the set is made up of like 8-foot by 16-foot panels." And it's up to you if you win this auction item to show up with a truck and carry it off in one day. You have to pick this up tomorrow. I love the idea of them just being like, we're going to auction off parts at the space station. It's up to you to get up there and deorbit it yourself. Well, like the part you bought will eject that module. You can dock it to your ship and then deorbit it yourself. Good luck.
Well, interestingly, there is actually a procedure for NASA artifacts and how they're handled.
Yeah.
So at first, NASA gets dibs in any centers that want it, then any visitor centers, then museums, then any like schools or classrooms, and then it actually does go to public auction at the end of that chain if no one has claimed it in that time. But you do have to pay for transportation. You're correct. NASA won't pay for that for you.
Yeah, I love the idea of like the Nashville Public Library is like, well, we thought about bidding on this, but we couldn't safely deorbit it, so we're gonna pass. And
yeah, that stuff can be expensive to transport even on Earth. So
because like it's so like the scale, you can't really even put a lot of these components on trucks easily. You got to move barges and train, or even trains are not. I mean, trains are pretty limited in width, so yeah, you're putting stuff on barges and moving it up and down the river.
Yeah, or past space shuttles, they had to like fly around on top of planes.
Oh yeah.
They do have the Super Guppy plane, which is a very derpy looking plane that's used to transport big space stuff too. Always my favorite because it flies around me sometimes. So you'll look out your window and just see this like massive goldfish looking plane just soar on by.
Sounds cool.
Yeah.
Question: approximately how long will it take for the ISS to crash after being boosted the final time?
So it depends. They're actually working on plans for this now, end of life planning, basically. And so it depends on what technique is used to deorbit it, because it would keep going for a while, but they want to control the process to bring it down in a specific spot. So I'm not sure because I don't think it's been fully decided yet.
Yeah,
It depends on the process that they use.
I saw that there was an old I feel like it was a space telescope or some sort of science instrument satellite that was supposed to deorbit last week, and they were like, okay, we don't know where it's gonna fall, and we know
Yeah.
it's gonna happen sometime in this 32-hour window.
Yeah,
And
that often happens.
it burnt
That's
up
horrifying.
directly above Kiev and set
Mm.
off all of their anti-missile warning systems and stuff. There's some
Yeah, it's gonna come down in like 32 hours. What are you talking about? Earth's rotation? No, it'll be fine.
yeah.
That's just what I imagine when I hear that.
Well, not like it's not like, oh, it's going to come down 32 hours from now. It's, hey, we knew well in advance it would come down sometime in this 32-hour window, but we didn't know where it was going to come down. And so,
Yeah.
of course, it comes down like directly on top of Kiev, and everybody's like freaking out because they're like, what fresh hell is this? Like,
Right, and that's why we want to control that for the space station, because it is huge.
Yeah.
So it's the size of a
It's
football
little
field.
bit large, yes.
Yeah. Yeah, size of a football/soccer field. Since they're similar in size, both comparisons work.
Yeah.
Is it likely to come down in one piece, or is it just like you just say, okay, this week we're jettisoning that module? Or...
You know, I don't know for sure. My guess would be the full thing, because it is all very connected and has been for a long time. It's been fully built for like 22 years. So, well, 22 years, people have been living on it continuously for 22 years, and stuff does keep getting added, but like that's a long time for stuff to be joined up there, and it was not intended to be separated, because that would be bad if that came apart.
If it did it in space, yeah.
Yeah, you don't want to just have like, oh, 2 levers. Yeah, you're just...
Is it going to be radioactive?
I don't think so, because currently you can touch it without concern of that. So I would
Okay.
expect not.
So like it's not going to get contaminated from like the space.
Well, the solar
Yeah.
radiation isn't necessarily... So, like, when you think of radioactive stuff on Earth, it's usually radioactive emitters that you're worried
Right.
about.
Yeah. Yeah, and in this case, it is being degraded a little bit by that radiation in space, but it's not
Okay.
picking up that radiation itself.
Yeah, it's like, because that's always the concern with like, nuclear reactors, is like everything becomes radioactive.
Right. And in this case,
So-
like the sun just produces radiation, and it becomes a force that hurts the material, and hence why we have to test materials to make sure it's going to last up there. And there's also little like micrometeoroid damage, little things that have hit it over time and stuff. But yeah, it's not going to be behind, radioactive proof lead walls or anything like that.
So one
It's just, like,
question...
normal levels.
Yeah. One question here is, if some deorbited parts are sold or auctioned, would some of the equipment have to be declassified first? I'm assuming because of its nature as an international venture with
Yeah.
our historic friends, the Russians, that there's not really any classified stuff up there. There might be
Yeah.
some things that individual nations say, like, hey, we're going to bring these instruments back, or or like certain parts of this are not for sale, but I don't think it would be because it's like a military secret or classified.
Right. And technically all the stuff is like on camera at all times, because they like live stream it down to mission control for them to monitor everything. So certain footage does get restricted, but it's mainly just because of like sensitive things, like astronauts might not want footage of them exercising in the public domain, or unflattering imagery and things like that.
Yeah.
But it's not classified per se, so.
It's like, is everything camerized, even like the bathroom and stuff?
Well, they do have the ability to turn off cameras, but they do have the ability to record anything that they need to for emergency sake. But it, like, even at nighttime, they turn off the cameras to give them privacy and stuff like that, and it's
That's
very
good.
regulated.
Yeah, it's just, you can't be creeping on astronauts, is what we're saying.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. But there is a live stream. If you Google like International Space Station Ustream, it does have like a live stream. It'll have usually like one camera that you can kind of like peek in and see what's going on, and then they have lots of external camera views that are always very cool.
Yeah. So like while they're doing their experiments during the day and stuff, you can watch that.
Yeah.
And hear mission control
exactly.
talking back and forth.
You can watch them picking up a silver box, putting it in a slot, and then turning around and getting another silver.
Well, there's
Yeah.
a reason that they haven't outcompeted us for live stream viewership.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not.
I mean, well, their actual live stream numbers are probably like their viewer numbers are probably higher than ours. But like, what I mean is like, there's a reason they haven't put us out of business. You know.
Yeah. I will say there are fun moments that if you know that they're going to happen are fun to tune in for, like when they're doing a veggie harvest, or something like that. And those will actually get people who are tuning in who are like, oh, I want to see what the plants they're harvesting and see them get excited about it, or, working on some cool experiment with robots. But you're right, the majority of the time it's, managing cord management and, typing on a computer or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, future stream, you got to just add that in the corner as your guest, the live astronaut live stream.
Yeah. People are asking questions about instruments in space. Like, is Chris Hadfield's guitar still up there? And has anyone played the saxophone in space?
Yeah, Thomas Pesquet, ESA astronaut, has played the saxophone up in space. He has been up there twice and played the saxophone both times and taken videos of it. He likes to music bomb live streams with media, and he'll come behind and just start playing the saxophone behind other people. They have a keyboard up there, like a piano keyboard. They have the guitar, is still up there. There was a flute when Katie Coleman flew, but I think that came down. And they have a lot of like tambourine type things for the less musically inclined astronauts to be able to participate in the band.
Oh, it's good. It's good to feel included.
Yes.
I will say, yeah, I've been hanging out with friends and they're like, oh, let's do a jam session. And I'm like, okay, that's cool. You guys have fun. That's not really for me. And they're like, no, you can have the tambourine. And then very quickly they go, no, you cannot have the tambourine.
Joe, you do not have the capacity for rhythm.
No tambourine.
Yeah, I do have to say I love for around Christmas there was a crew that turned on. They have the ability to turn off some of the cameras. And they turned them off and they got all the instruments and like dressed up in like Christmas attire and then turned it on a surprise mission control with some Christmas carols, which was very adorable.
That's cute. Yeah,
That's cute.
A fun other random thing is they just were playing a mission control was challenging the astronauts for a chess match. So they have a magnetic chessboard up there, and they were each like calling the moves down and moving them on the board over the course of days in between stuff.
Yeah.
And the astronauts did beat all of mission control in a chess match.
Nice.
Like all of mission control.
Yeah. And they were calling it down like official orders and stuff, and they're like, we're gonna have to reassess this and see what issues happened so that this does not again happen in the future.
Yeah.
This is where they just hire on a ringer next time in mission control.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
sort of like, is there a chess champion somewhere that wants to be an honorary member of NASA for like 3 weeks?
Yeah, come on down.
ISS needs more cowbell.
Ryan on Sax says this is the real Space Jam. Yeah, we should have seen that movie.
Oh man.
Yeah, a getting the band back together movie about, an astronaut getting the band back together while up on the ISS.
I love it. Luca Parmitano, another ESA astronaut, did also DJ a music festival while up there.
Oh, that's cool.
They like beamed him down to some European music festival and put him up on the screen and let him DJ for a little bit.
That's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
With the sun's excessive ejections recently, how likely is it to cause issues for the ISS if it winds up in the path of those?
So, like I said about space weather forecasting is a really important part of all that. The main thing that it impacts is spacewalk schedules. So spacewalks have been canceled for that sort of thing because the astronauts are safe inside the ISS. Even if they get a slightly higher radiation dosage, they are safe. But I
imagine the
spacewalks be canceled. Yeah.
I mean, imagine the astronauts are like, I want to come back.
Yeah.
So I don't want to get my radiation higher than it needs to be. So I'm not going to be a hero here. So be a hero another way, but that's fine.
Well, I mean, if something mission critical was broken, like, oh, we need to repair the life support by going outside, nobody's going to object to that. But like,
exactly.
Yeah, if it's like, hey, we could slightly optimize the power systems by adding this new thing. Well, let's put it off a week, right? Like,
we're going to chill for a little bit, and
no, we'll do some science. Save that for another time.
Yeah, they've basically got their, their rainy day tasks. Like, okay. Well, since we're stuck inside, we'll work on this.
Exactly.
How do you grow plants in space? Wouldn't you be worried about the dirt contaminating things? Like I'm assuming they'd be hydroponic, wouldn't they?
It's a mix. So they have plant pillows, which are very cute. That they actually plant them in instead of soil,
Mhm.
or they have a little bit of quote growth medium in there in the pillows with it. But they've been testing a number of things. They've tested hydroponic and aeroponic growing techniques. But even so, it is tough because water in microgravity will kind of like stick to stuff. It kind of because if you
Oh,
see
clump.
like yeah,
Yeah.
you see like bubbles floating around on roots like where my plant demo, you can like it will kind of like attach on to the roots and drown the plant. So they have to be really careful how they water them. They actually use like syringes to inject the plant pillows with the right amounts of water. And they're
Oh
still
wow.
testing more efficient ways to do it so that it can be scaled up long term.
So do you think we'll ever have like people growing their own food in like a space station kind of environment?
Yeah, I think definitely. They're
Oh.
working towards that, and they've been doing research for like a decade on it now and improving. They now know the light types to use. They know a lot more. So I think it's still a little ways
That's
down the
cool.
line, but we need that sort of thing to be able to go really explore to Mars and stuff to be able to produce more food because we can't bring it all with us.
Mm-hmm. Mini Cheese Mouse wants to know the coolest person you spent time with working at NASA. Maybe somebody whose name we might recognize, like Homer Hickam or Gene Kranz or anybody like that.
I don't
Yeah,
recognize
well,
any of those people. Just so you know.
so I think coolest people I've gotten to meet are astronauts for sure.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't you we don't get to work with them like for extended periods of time, but I have gotten to meet and give some advice and stuff to Christina Cook, who's one of the astronauts who will be on the she will be the first woman to go to the moon. She won't be landing on it, but she will orbit around it,
Mm-hmm.
and she's awesome. Her and Anne McLean, both both people I've met and are very cool and friendly and interesting. I've worked a lot with the spouses of some of the astronauts because a number of them also work at NASA, so
I
I've
mean, that
gotten to know
makes sense.
them.
That makes
Yeah,
sense.
right. So
You know, you gotta have the same interests and stuff.
Yeah, well,
exactly.
and also, I'm sure that there's not a lot of free time for people in those jobs, so they tend to,
Yeah,
the people they meet tend to be the people they meet at work.
fair. Yeah, and a number of them too, like they're coming from military families, and a lot of there's military couples. So
Mm-hmm.
a number of them have moved
Yeah.
around together and things like that as well. But I think those would probably be the coolest people that I've met and worked with. And then there's been more the technical, the center directors. If you want to get more nerdy, Kathy Leaders, she ran the commercial crew program for a long time. So the people that basically allowed SpaceX to partner with NASA and help launch people again from American soil and worked with her a little bit. So she's super cool, but she's retiring actually at the end of this month. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm working on making a video about Kathy Leaders and why she's super cool to put out at the end of the month.
That'll be cool. So I know I've got your TikTok pinned. What
Mm-hmm.
is that going to be? Longer form video, or is that going to be somewhere else then?
Yeah, so I'm trying to work on making actually longer form content on TikTok too, because I can make up to 10-minute videos on there
Oh,
now.
I didn't even know that was an
Oh.
option.
Yeah, if you have a certain number of followers, you get the ability to do 3-minute and then 10-minute videos.
Mm.
But I am planning on, I have not in the past done a lot on YouTube, but I am intending to do a lot more going forward now that I have more of my own time to
Time.
put into these projects. So yeah, you can find me at Erin Winick on YouTube as well if you look me up there. You'll only see I have like 100 and some subscribers and mainly a lot of shorts up there, but I'm excited to do more there in the future.
Let me pull that up and link that for everybody.
Sure. But yeah, plan to post that in both spots.
Awesome.
Thank you, Azimuth sub for the 5-month for the 9-month
There you are.
resub. Thank you, Daxcon for the biddies. Thank you, McLesley for the biddies. They say fascinating talk. I agree. This is cool. I like learning about stuff like this.
Yeah, and I really, I want to real quick say I really appreciate Cleo giving this a chance. Cause thanks, moderator, for deleting my link to Erin's YouTube page. Also, no, because I pitched this to Cleo and I was like, "Hey, Cleo, so I want to do more interview type stuff where we have cool people like where I have cool people on my show or whatever, but I haven't figured out how to make it work. And I kind of decided that instead of like just abandoning ideas when I don't know how to make them work, I'll make them your problem. What if instead of me trying to figure out how to interview or hang out with Erin, we both hang out with and interview Erin?
Well, thank you for having me and dealing with all my space stuff.
We appreciate the space stuff. The space stuff's cool. It's the hanging out with Joe that's always the problem.
I'm a burden.
Sorry, Joe.
No,
Can't
it's
help with
fine.
that.
It's fine.
Sorry. Yeah, no, it's like I'm pretty. You know me, Joe. I'm pretty much open. I'm in a bitey mood a little bit. I'm always fairly open to like people coming on and talking to them, even if I don't know who they are. But like Joe has this thing. It's just sort of like we can invite a cool person on. I'm like, let's invite a cool person on, and then he does, and I never expect it because I don't expect Joe to know cool people. So
Well, this is
Well,
the magic.
thanks for saying I'm cool.
This is
Like
the
Dad,
magic of
you know.
pinball. Also, I think like another thing that's funny is like I don't even think that it wasn't like Erin recognized me first. I think she was commenting on my kid's NASA jacket or something.
It was that first, but then I heard you talk, and I was like, I know this voice. And you said you're a streamer, and I'm like, I know this person. Yes. So. But yes, his daughter had an incredible NASA jacket on, and I was like, "Oh, I gotta talk to these people over here. They seem cool."
Yeah, that was a gift from her Aunt Quinn. Who is going to be joining me on stream every Thursday morning at about this time.
Good.
So, yeah, feel free to stop back by then. Everybody out there in viewerland, or Erin, I mean, you can stop by and watch too. I'm
Yeah,
sure you
I
have.
can also be a viewer.
I'm sure you have work to do running your own company now and all that. But
No.
look, we all run our own company here, Joe.
yeah, I know.
We know what it involves. We make time for the things that we want to do.
Oh yeah.
But you are always welcome back. So
Thank
you know.
Yeah.
I appreciate it. I got to report back on all the D&D stuff and how that goes. So.
Oh,
Yeah.
definitely. Well, and also like if you know of like I said, I've done NASA social stuff before, and that's like structured and run through NASA itself. But if you end up doing anything less formal, you know, like if you're organizing some sort of space-based in-person meetup or whatever, definitely let me know. Some of the other hermits would probably be interested. I don't know how much in-person
Super
events
nerds.
is part of your space communication business that you're trying to pilot here, but there's definitely a lot of interest in traveling for cool space stuff.
Cool. I love it. Yeah. No, I know the stuff I'm going forward and doing. I'm doing everything from working with some different museums and doing other content related things and whatnot. So yeah, I'll keep it in mind, and I'll definitely let you all know.
Oh yeah, if you were doing something where it's like, hey, let's have these YouTubers come into this museum an hour. I was gonna say an hour before they open, but we're not awake. An hour after they close, and like, YouTuber night at the museum type thing. Maybe not let us actually sleep over because we'll want to go somewhere else that we can drink. But
Sure.
yeah, like
I mean, honestly, just like bedding down under one of the like a cool space thing.
I feel like that's a bigger ask to get a museum to let us actually stay
100%
overnight.
It's a bigger
But
ask,
if you
like,
could get
can
it, we
you
wouldn't.
imagine, like as an advertising thing,
Yeah.
getting a bunch of streamers that don't spend a lot of time in physical space together and filming it. That's a great look at all this cool stuff in this museum. Look
That
at
would be
these things we
cool.
got to see. Sorry, just saying.
I love that. That would be awesome.
Yeah,
It would be cool.
yeah, like yeah, definitely. If you come across weird opportunities for us to hang out, one of the biggest things that we're realizing is like we all have fun playing Minecraft together, but we really want more time to spend doing other things too, but like together,
Fair.
So like one of our friends, Asuma, lined up this sponsored stream where we all played a space game, No Man's Sky, together,
Uh-huh.
and it's just like, wow, why don't we do this all the time? And it's like, well, usually we don't have someone like offering us money to do it. And
Right.
so, like, it's a lot easier for me to say to my kid, like, hey, I know I promised I was going to take you to your friend's birthday party, but I'm not going to. But, like, if it's like a paid gig, you know?
Right.
And I did get a babysitter to take her to the birthday party. She still got to go to the party, and she would have not have spoken to me the whole time she was there anyway. So, like, you know, it's not like I'm a totally negligent parent, but, like, you know, in terms of, like, us, like, oh, hey, we could theoretically all go to some museum and hang out, but, like, if you're, like, getting them to comp the flights and the hotel, like, that,
Right.
I mean, and that might be way beyond the scale of anything you're working on right now, but just something in the back of your head, you know?
Yeah, no, it's a cool idea. It's something to keep in mind and to know that there's other people that are interested in that are outside of like the pure like space influencer area, you know? I always am a big advocate for bringing out people that aren't like already completely immersed in all of this, and that's 100% what their audience is, because it's more fun to break out of that and get all of the people who are maybe just a little nerdy but not like in the space world to be exposed to all that.
Yeah,
Well,
like,
here's
Hermitcraft people are super nerdy, just
Yeah.
so you know.
Yeah, now,
Yes.
like, let's
So
say
they'd
that
be up for it.
if you're pitching this to some museum and they're like, I don't know, this sounds like kind of a stretch, you say, we're putting the reach and outreach, you know?
Yeah. Oh. You get the slogan already.
Never say that.
Incredible. That, and I think maybe we just need to get Cleo. You need to start coming to pinball tournaments. So one
Yeah.
or the other.
Well, apparently they're all in Croydon and nobody wants to go to Croydon in London.
Ugh.
Yeah.
It's the worst, Joe. Like,
But seriously,
the worst.
seriously, Cleo, though, if you do come to Nashville, we need to go to No Quarter for one of the Wednesday night tournaments. Like, Erin, as a complete outsider, like, how what was it? Did you know anybody when you got there?
Nope. I was traveling for work and I play pinball when I travel just to like meet other people and like see what's up. And no, everyone was so welcoming. It was super, super fun. I've met a bunch of people. Someone who I think is Melissa was looking at coming down for a Bells and Chimes tournament here in Houston now too. So it was great.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, I really need to get down to Houston. I've got some family who relocated there a few years ago. But it was kind of close. Like, it was one of those, like, oh, I'm gonna get down there and visit you guys once you get settled in, and then the pandemic hit, and
Yep.
then like, well, they're settled in now. But like, so yeah, I'll have to look at trying to maybe get to an event when I'm there too.
Cool.
Just show them any of Scar's NASA chats on stream. Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, this is a person who is not in the sphere, but is incredibly nerdy about space launches.
Love
Like,
it.
honestly, like, most of the hermits, like, lately, a lot of the hermit chats have been devolving into, look at this cool space stuff. And, yeah, so.
I approve.
Well, doesn't Cubfan have like an actual degree in something space
Yeah, he
related?
does. I think he's like astrophysicist, isn't he?
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah.
Fancy.
Scar and Cub, yeah. Scar is just a layman.
So how are your crafts going? Since I can't see them from my side.
Oh, yeah, no problem. It's kind of going okay. I think that what I'm gonna do is put a rollover under this right middle flipper, and then have the stand-up targets on the outside of that is what I'm kind of deciding on.
Okay.
But yeah, I'm designing a pinball layout still, and it's
Cool.
it's a work in progress.
About space.
About
Yes.
space. So Erin actually interviewed me about my pinball machine, and I don't know if I did a very good job at that interview, Erin. I'm
No,
gonna
you're
be
great.
honest. Because nobody, like, I'm used to talking to people in a way that isn't going to be translated to another medium. You know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
Like, I'm like, I don't know if I'm answering these questions in a way that will work in print, or whatever.
No, I think you did great. And yeah, I turned in the story and got a thumbs up, so I think it all worked out.
Awesome. And then
what
yeah.
was the story? I don't know about this.
So I write for a kids science magazine, and they
Mhm.
like to cover Minecraft stuff. and I often usually write about space for it. And I was like, hey, I think I have something that you all would like. That's at the I heard about this pinball machine that was being made in Minecraft. Would you be up for me interviewing the person making it and talking about like what inspired that? So yeah, we chatted, and I wrote up a story, and Joe's gonna get me some screenshots of the progress of the machine.
Yeah, I
And we're gonna
really need to. I really need to work on the actual like pixel art on the outside of the machine. I'm hoping to get like one half of the like trying to get the rest of the back box done like ASAP because you need those pictures soon. So, like, yeah.
But yeah, it's one of those things where they with print it can go a little bit longer if needed. But they were like, yeah, if they can get them to by the end of the month, that'd be cool. But like, we don't really need it till like mid-May, so well, we can make it work.
Okay. Cool. Cool.
But yeah, well, I'm sure I'll be sending a print edition over to Joe, so maybe you can make an appearance on stream. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. I'll have an actual look, Cleo. I'm in this children's magazine. Is it the sort of thing that goes out to schools or like what is it? Is it something people subscribe to in their homes? Like what is the?
It's the two. Yeah, it's actually technically a nonprofit, so they do also like donate a bunch of theirs to like places that are trying to inspire kids in like science and technology and stuff.
Mhm.
And then they also have people who
I
can
can get
individually
behind that.
subscribe. So yeah, mix of the two.
Woo. And so once I'm actually in a print magazine, Cleo, I might be notable enough for Wikipedia. That wasn't a
Ooh.
motivating factor, although I just realized that now, and I think it's really funny, and I thought that you would find it annoying, so I decided to share it.
Why would I find it annoying?
I don't know. It just seems like the sort of thing I'd be like, Cleo, guess what? I'm gonna be in Wikipedia. And you'd be like, hmm.
Very exciting. I put the first pink frog on. So
Ooh.
Yay!
Hey,
Pink
that's cool.
frog!
woohoo.
Those frogs are everywhere. And no, Joe, I wouldn't find it annoying. I just wouldn't care. Sorry, Joe, I just wouldn't care.
No, that's fine. No, I didn't think that you'd find it annoying that I was eligible for Wikipedia. I thought you'd find it annoying that I brought it up. But
No,
it's
not
fine.
annoying. I just wouldn't.
You just don't care. Cleo's like, oh, I checked out of this conversation about a half hour ago. There's a reason we usually wrap up on the hour here.
There you go.
No. Like, did you want me to be offended? I can be.
No,
I can do that.
it's fine. You can
honestly,
determine your
people
own
get
level
really
of
annoyed
offense.
at me when I do my mock offense. Like,
Okay.
it's just sort of like you're not allowed to be offended by any of the other people. So I've been trying to not be fake offended because people take me seriously.
Gotcha.
Hello, baby. Can I help you?
Okay. Immortal Kitten writes, I've been listening for an hour and checking back in. I see that Erin has built a whole flower pot and Joe has drawn 3 lines. Okay, I've actually drawn 6 lines and they are very deeply thought through. And this is drafting to some degree. We're not just sketching anymore. We're really trying to be thoughtful here. But yeah, it does not look visually impressive. I'll give you that.
I have done all of my May bullet journal pages.
Mhm.
I've just finished the last one.
Love it.
And yeah, good.
That's why I chose Lego, because I wouldn't have to think. I would just execute based on the instructions. So
You know what? That's how I feel about most things. Don't have to think, just execute.
There you go.
See, I wanted something that was going to force me to kind of be more thoughtful for this. So that way, because like with more speakers, I need to be talking less.
Oh, okay.
That is a problem most of the time. That's true.
Yeah, I do talk too often.
I'm not saying too often. You just talk a lot.
Yeah.
You're allowed.
I appreciate the clarification, Cleo. Thank you.
You're allowed to talk. I just don't have to like it.
Okay.
Well, I'm excited.
Oh, when's
to go
your
look
birthday, JT? Sorry.
No. I'm excited to see this drawing after I get off. I'm going to go back and look and see the 6 lines that were so thoughtfully drawn.
I mean, honestly, like, considering I've seen Joe sit there for an entire session and draw 2 things, like 6 lines is progress sometimes.
Yeah, this is not terrible. There's been worse.
I mean, a lot of the time it's like I'm looking at this picture and this picture, and I don't know which one I want to do and which orientation I'd like to draw it in. and then he talks to me, and then I just completely ignore him, and then he's come.
This is a pretty accurate assessment, yeah. I was gonna say though, since we're coming up on the hour, we probably want to do like last call for tips now, since sometimes they take a little bit of time to process.
Thank you, McLesley, for the biddies, and Pinto Bean for the biddies. Love the cactus drawings. Reminds me of where I grew up.
Oh.
I don't grow up in a place where I saw a lot of cactuses.
Really?
Not gonna lie. Yeah, believe it or not, UK, not big cactus country.
Really,
Whoa.
the K is not for cactus?
Like, I don't know if that hurts more because it's a misspelling of cactus or not. I don't think it might be.
Welcome to the United Cactus of Great Britain and Northern Ireland.
The United Cactus. I mean, you know,
Yeah.
better than a kingdom is all I'm saying.
Well, it's not a monarchy, so I mean that's a step up.
You know, we've got yeah, it's true. So next month's theme is probably going to be drinks. I've decided.
Did you say drapes?
Drinks.
Oh, drinks. That makes way more sense.
Does it?
I was like, because I was like, okay, so if your calendar grid, you just have like little curtains on all the grid boxes, I guess that could work.
I mean, I guess so.
What
I
do you
do
draw
like
for
those
a drink
orchids.
theme? Oh, thanks.
I mean, I'm like, I was thinking more sort of like coffee and donuts, and maybe like drawing little cups and stuff.
Okay.
And like you know, just like aesthetic stuff, like coffee beans, maybe.
Nice.
Yeah, you could have things that drinks come in, like teapots or like the coffee urns.
I mean, I feel like teapots is more cottagecore kind of style.
Gotcha. And you want
Whereas
cottage surface.
And I want more sort of modern, sleek coffee shop aesthetic.
Oh.
Okay.
Which you know, like as a Brit, there are the kinds of coffee shops that have teapots on show. They have good cake, but they're not modern or aesthetic.
Okay.
They are higgledy-piggledy, is how I would call it.
An incredible phrase.
I love the phrase. Higgledy-piggledy. Costa Core, yes.
Yeah. Costa Coffee
Not
was
Starbucks Core. Costa Core is better.
Yeah, Costa was one of the first coffee shops I saw in England when I came out of customs.
What, you mean the massive chain coffee shops in the UK?
Yeah, there was a Costa directly outside of the customs exit.
Yeah, no, that doesn't surprise me at all.
Yeah. I used to love their brownies there. I was over there for a certain amount of time, and I think they have like gluten-free brownies or something that I am not gluten-free, but was incredible. So,
well, I will say, like, I was supposed to meet my fiance by the Costa Coffee, and so the customs area, like when you're flying into Heathrow, is like this huge multi-level labyrinth, right? And so I'm just like walking down these different hallways.
Never found it a problem.
And like I'm like I don't see anything that looks remotely like a coffee shop. Like I'm like I see like a huge sign that's like stop here if you have meat products, and there's just like this biohazard bin with like a foot pedal on it and deposit meat products here. And like there's nobody watching it. And I'm like,
oh no, we're British. We assume you're going to do the right thing.
yeah, which is not like open it up and like take some extra meat products out, because I'm like, well, that's free meat right there. But yeah,
when they say meat products, I think they're just like the burger that you had on the plane or the ham sandwich.
Yeah, or whatever. But yeah. So anyway, though, like, so there's all these like zones you have to walk through where they're like drop this here, leave this here, but there's nobody at them. There's a bunch of like tables where it looks like there would be somebody like go through your bags, but there's no one there. So anyway, I'm just
what time was this?
Oh gosh, it was like
in UK time.
It was
if
early.
It's late.
It was
they don't.
It was super early in the morning.
Okay.
They're unlikely to do US flights
Yeah, they're
in
probably
the later evening, and they're like as a country way more bigoted than that.
gotcha. So
Okay.
yeah, it's one of those things where like yeah, so eventually I go through some doors and I'm like, are these the like because I keep thinking that I'm out of the customs area, but I'm not. There's just more customs area.
Keeps going.
And eventually I come out and there's a huge Costa coffee. And I'm like, okay. I was worried I wasn't going to be able to find this thing, but apparently it was the inevitable end point of this labyrinth. So that's one less thing to worry about. I was very relieved to find the Costa coffee.
I mean,
Costa coffee at the end of the tunnel.
Uh-huh.
Costa coffee. Honestly, Costa is like ubiquitous, so you know.
Yeah.
I'm I'm sort of half shocked there isn't one in the customs area.
Well, I don't.
While you're making your way through.
Well, the thing is, I don't know if they. Yeah, I don't think there was any vending in the customs area except for.
Oh no, there would not be.
There, I think there was like a currency exchange like machine or something, where it's like use your credit card to get Great British pounds or something. But like,
So you can prep for the Costa coffee.
yeah, so that by the time you get out there, you're good. But like, I don't think there was.
I mean,
anything
you
else.
can pay in Costa with a credit card. All I'm saying.
Wild and crazy. No.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It was a good visit though.
I mean, you know, it was cool. It was cool. Auntie Kem has resubscribed for 30 months saying Happy Wednesday. And Mini Cheese Mouse has cheered biddies with some unicorns. Thank you very much.
Ooh.
Do like a unicorn. At least 2 Costa locations in the US. Who knew?
Yeah, but they're both in Costa Rica. That's not true.
I mean, it's probably not true. That is correct, Joe.
Yeah.
They should have gone for the pun, though. That would be an incredible opportunity there.
Yeah.
I mean,
now I want to know where they are.
I can't think of a place that would be worse than being in Costa Rica and then having a thing saying Costas.
Mm-hmm.
That would feel insulting at that point. Costa Rica is not in the US.
Yeah.
I mean, we weren't gonna say that.
It was worth it for the joke, right? You know.
It was a good joke. It was a good joke, but you know, there might be one in Costa Rica. You don't know.
All right, now time for someone to fact check that. So,
I mean, honestly, the amount of fact checking we get on these streams for free is great. Don't have to pay anyone. The chat will do it for free.
Yeah, I've been waiting for people to point out that Costa Rica isn't actually in the United States and nobody's done it yet. That's how I could tell. I was on the fence. I was like, it's 11 o'clock.
They did it in my chat.
Oh, they did?
oh, okay.
Oh, yeah, I said it out loud. I said the words, Joe.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was waiting for my chat to yell at me and they did not. But
I mean, like, my brain is just like, I don't know.
yeah,
I don't care. You may have annexed Costa Rica for all I know.
yeah, it looks
I'm
like
British. We do that all the time. I mean, or we did at least. You know, we have also done a colonialism.
A colonialism or two, yeah.
Yeah, just the one or two.
Yeah.
Okay.
A little colonialism as a treat.
Okay, so it looks like the Costa coffees in the United States are all in Atlanta.
Yeah, that was pointed out in my 5 in Atlanta and 1 in Seattle Airport.
Oh, yeah, I see that now too.
Oh.
So, that's not my problem. There is no convenient way to get to Atlanta from Nashville. So like it's just not
I mean, the point is, why would you?
It's not something it's not something we do. Like
Sure.
cuz it's one of those things like it's too close to justify flying. It's like the perfect distance for a train, but there's no train line connecting the two for passengers anymore. You could take a bus, but it's a hassle. That's probably, if I actually had to go to Atlanta, I would probably take the Greyhound. but like,
It's wild to me that you do not have railways the way
but
we
I
have
wish.
railways.
but yeah, if trying to drive into Atlanta is like basically never worth it. Usually what people end up doing if they have to go to Atlanta from Nashville for something like DragonCon or something,
The important stuff.
yeah,
Yeah.
is you would drive to the furthest, like to the terminus of like the Atlanta commuter rail line and just find a parking lot there and leave your car and then take all your bags or whatever to go to DragonCon, including your ludicrous costumes and stuff, on the commuter train from like an hour outside central Atlanta the rest of the way into the city. Because like,
That'd be some of the funnest commuter trains though of the year.
oh yeah, because like everybody who's going into the city at that time of day, because you don't want to show up there at like 5 a.m. when the actual commuters are going in, right? You know,
Right.
you show up at like 10 a.m. when it's just everybody there is like, oh, I see you also have a Darth Vader cape. Oh, I'm actually gonna be Alucard. Oh, cool. I don't. I'm really tired, but like, yeah, that's. Uh, yeah. One of my groups of friends went last year and they all dressed up as a different Weird Al.
Thanks,
Like,
JT.
so they had like the Hawaiian shirt Weird Al, the like a surgeon Weird Al, you know, different eras, running with scissors, marathon, you know, sprinter Weird Al, that sort of thing.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, that's one of the weekends where I'm ostensibly not supposed to have my kid, but it's not clear if her mom's gonna pick her up or not, so I can never make plans. So
Oh,
it's, yeah, one of these days I'm gonna get down there, but as I just mentioned, it's really hard to get to. It's really inconvenient to get to Atlanta from here anyway. So
yeah. I've been wanting to go too. I've been waiting for the year that. So my husband is a sci-fi fantasy author,
Mhm.
so we wanted to find a year that we both had a reason to be on a panel. So we're like, we think we maybe can swing it. Well, either this year or the next year. So gonna try to make it happen.
Nice. One of the hard things with DragonCon as well is that lodging sells out a year in advance.
Yep, for sure.
And so like maybe if you're a panelist they'll comp you lodging,
Yeah,
but it would be hard to go last minute.
totally. That or you have to have like a friend that has extra space in their room type thing, you know. But
Yeah.
yeah,
See, that doesn't really happen because like most of my friends are like, well, we've already got 8 people in the room. It's like,
yeah.
okay.
In this case, so he's a does a lot in the lit RPG community, so like writing video game stuff, and a lot of them will like rent out like an Airbnb, the authors, and then like all hang out there. So that's why we have like a potential last minute in, but
Oh, there you go.
we'll see.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That is pretty cool. Oh.
All right.
Okay.
How are you doing with the Lego?
I'm actually almost done, I think. But
Okay.
I was gonna say,
Wait for the Lego to be
I
done.
was gonna say, how close would you say you are? Because yeah, I was gonna get lunch soon, but
all right,
if
here
you're-
I'll speed Lego my last flower. So
I mean, if it's literally like the last flower, then we definitely don't want to rush.
it is
you.
actually. So
Yeah. Well, then
here.
yeah, well, let's complete the project. That's fine.
All right, so I'm gonna pop a timer up, and I'm gonna speed through this one here.
Do the countdown music.
Yeah.
Etc.
Mhm.
Oh, I realised how British that joke is. I'm sorry.
It's fine. Oh, Coca-Cola owns Costa. That's why they got him in Atlanta first.
Oh, that makes sense.
Does it?
Yeah, they have a huge Coca-Cola factory there,
Ah.
Oh.
and they have like a World of Coca-Cola museum. Feels like a very American thing.
I mean, like I've been watching some so it's mostly Japanese stuff. But there's this guy that goes and does all the like the touristy kind of food related stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, like there's like
Is this
goes
a
and does
Japanese traveler in visiting other countries or
no
an English-speaking traveler in?
I think this might be a Chinese person
But visiting Japan.
who spends a lot of time in Japan.
Okay, cool.
But like goes to like the vending machines, shows you like look at these cool vending machines they have. Then, like, one of them was like a Coca-Cola, a 7-Eleven Coca-Cola thing.
Yeah.
Which was a 7-Eleven store designed purely around the aesthetics of Coca-Cola. And there was just this machine that was just like, supercharge your Coca-Cola bottle, and you put it on this machine and it turned into a slushie. And it was just like, it was really cool. And I was just like, you could have those everywhere and you choose not to. How dare you?
Yeah, there's nothing about that technology that is like, well, you really have to be near a volcanic island for that to work.
No, it's not proprietary. It's just, how dare you just keep all the cool stuff?
All right, it has been completed.
Woo!
It has been completed.
Let me
It's
expand
very good.
that camera there.
Ta-da!
Ta-da!
Very cool.
Now I'm gonna have to find a place in my house where this is gonna stay.
And not get knocked over by a cat.
Pride of place, surely.
Yes.
I am looking at the little bits at the bottom that do not appear to have a place.
Yeah, those are gonna have a little bit of extra additions, but I figured this was close enough. I think it's gonna just cover.
We're just like, we're done.
No, we're done. It's gonna there's a little bit of the colors that we were talking about earlier showing, so it's just covering up the dirt in the bottom. So that's what that's gonna be.
That makes sense.
Gotcha.
Well, thank you for coming on. It's been good. I've really enjoyed it.
No, it was great. I appreciate you bringing me on and talking all things space. It was super fun.
All things space.
Yep.
Yes.
I'm linking Erin's YouTube again. Are you on Twitter these days? I know a lot of people are fleeing, but
I am still there. I'm not as active, but I am still on Twitter as well, which I know is where both of you are more active, right?
yeah. Well, for me, I kind of need to be because like there's a lot of local stuff happening in Nashville, and that's where people are organizing and coordinating. So
yeah.
Okay. Well.
No, thanks for dropping all my stuff in the chat. And
I think we've still got a pinned link, so you've been great. Like it's been lots of fun, like hearing about all the NASA stuff and like all the other cool things. So
fantastic. I love it.
Okay. Well, if we're ending here, I'm going to disconnect the call.
And I will do the same.
But hold on a second before I disconnect the call.
Holding.
I need to take away that display capture. There we go.
Cleo's like, I don't want to show my desktop. Alrighty.
I mean, there are other things on my desktop that I don't need to show them, Joe.
Alrighty. Thanks again, Erin. Have a great day.
Thank you very much. We'll see you next time. Bye.
Yeah, bye. Okay, so we have disconnected entirely from the call. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining us. This has been a lot of fun. Let me see who else is out there streaming. Probably don't want to raid Cleo because I think she's about to wrap up too, based on the context clues of her telling us that. So let's see what's going on out in the broader world. It looks like our friend Pearlescent Moon is doing some coloring. Why don't we go ahead and raid Pearl?
Got that bit.
Yep, that's Pearl. She sounds very Australian today. So, whoops. Oh no, I keep typing the /raid command into Cleo's chat. Luckily, I'm not a moderator, so I'm not hijacking her raid. Whoop, whoop, whoop. That's 2 weeks in a row I've done that. Luckily, I don't think it shows Cleo that I tried to schedule a raid. Anyway, thanks so much for hanging out, y'all. Until next time, this is Joe Hills from Nashville, Tennessee. Keep adventuring. Do-do-do-do. Okay, stop streaming. Stop